조금 고민 중이에요. 저희 조가 맨 마지막에 이제 선수가 오다 보니까 오기 싫다더라고요. 저그는 좀 피하고 싶고 거기서도 이제 토스테란 뽑아주면은
제가 뽑아주겠습니다. 이번 시즌 저도 태태하고 싶거든요. 저를 뽑으면 어차피 딱 원하는 대로 될 것 같아요, 서로.
솔직히 말해서 1차전으로는 토스전 하고 싶긴 한데 윤철이 한번 얘기 좀.
장윤철
저 뽑으면은 조일장, 김태경, 장윤철, 이재호 될 것 같아요.
진짜 죽음의 조.
아 좀 무섭네요. 예.
윤철이 형 뽑아주면 제가 나중에 시드권 써줄 수 있거든요. 저는 윤철이 형을 형이 데리고 가줬으면 좋겠어요.
오!
장윤철이
오!
싫다. 장윤철을
장윤철
뽑아주면
보내자. 이쪽에 지금 청탁이 좀 들어왔습니다.
근데 원래 일장이가 저 뽑는다고 했었거든요. 아 그냥 저 뽑아주세요. 그 종족 뽑아드릴게요.
오,
와.
그 플랜대로 해주겠다. 최호선의 어필이 있었습니다.
네. 와,
최호선!
최호선. 와.
최호선!
와.
일장이가 저 뽑으면은 그냥 테란 뽑아주기로 했거든요.
네.
제가 만약에 윤철이를 뽑아요. 저 빼줄 수 있는지.
호선이 형 못 옮기지 않나요?
못
못
옮겨요.
옮겨요.
못 옮겨요?
못 옮겨요. 눈 속내만 들켰습니다
그냥
지금.
조일장이랑
예.
영원히 가야 돼요.
예.
아 진짜 이 사람 쉽게 믿으면 안 되는구나.
테란 중에 오고 싶은 사람이.
박성균 D
D
올수 있는 기회.
어떻습니까?
알아서들 하세요 이제 그냥.
그냥 알아서 하라.
정영재
D.
D조 어떻습니까?
저 정도면 좋죠.
저번 시즌에 저한테 떨어졌거든요. 영재면 고맙죠.
버스에 지금은
네.
탑승할 만한.
예.
네.
야,
박성균!
뽑아버렸어요. 독사를?
야 박성균.
어중태가 영재랑 성균이만 남았거든요. 일장이가 좀 성균이 원해가지고 뽑았습니다.
뽑아달라 하면 안 뽑고 알아서 하라면 뽑네요. 진작에 이럴 걸.
영환이한테 그냥 뽑히기를 기다리고 있거든요. 영환아,
네.
이름 빨리 갖다 놔. 김지성이 꽤 넘어가는 거예요, 그게. 너의 소신껏 해. 끌려다니지 말고.
제일 위험한 발언이에요. 이게 가장 위험한 발언입니다. 그래서 그건 흘려 듣겠습니다.
테란 둘이 장윤철을 뽑았는데 안 바꾸면 어떡하냐.
아, 제가 컨설팅 한번 할게요. 저를 뽑아야 됩니다. 서로 그냥 할만할 것 같거든요.
희경 형이 조금 더 할만하긴 하죠.
그렇게 한번 하시죠.
와!
장윤철.
야, 장소 내려왔어. 와! 이재호! 김태국 D조로 가게 됐어요. 우승자의 권한 행사가 좀 기다리고 있습니다.
사형수가 된 것 같은데요. D조랑 B조가 부럽네요.
하지만 저는 이런 결정을 해야 될 것 같아요.
혹시 장윤철 선수랑 박성균 선수랑 바꾸는 건 어떤가요? 조일장 선수가 장윤철 선수 인간 상석이에요. 그리고 최호선 변현재를 떨굴 정도로 변칙적인 선수. 토스 원래 강자, 핵신. 이쪽에 훨씬 가능성이 높아요.
지성아, 너 소신껏 가죠. 아, 남말 듣지 말고 제발.
소신파예요 아까부터.
근데 윤철이가 여기 오면은 무조건 올라갑니다. 저는 윤철이 못 이기고 태경이도 윤철이 못 이기거든요. 그래가지고 여기 오면 안 돼요, 윤철이는.
D조로 가냐? 아니면 C조로 가냐?
소신이냐 이정의
영어?
합리적인 제안이냐.
지금
소신껏 했습니다.
이 그룹은 표정이 다 웃고 있어요. 서로 아주 행복한 조가 지금 돼버렸습니다.
나의 레벨은 다르다 어나더 레벨 하식스와 함께하는 ASL 시즌 15 16강의 마지막 B조 경기로 여러분과 함께하겠습니다. 안녕하세요, 연경입니다. 어제 펼쳐졌던 역대 최악의 죽음의 조로 이끌어진던 C조에서는 결국에 도재욱 선수와 그리고 마지막 김민철 선수가 살아남아 8강행 진출을 확정지었습니다. 자, 오늘은 마지막 8강행 티켓 2장을 두고 경쟁을 펼칠 D조 선수들이 제 옆에 나와 계십니다. 선수들 만나서 이야기 나눠보겠습니다. 안녕하세요, 반갑습니다. 네, 먼저 시드 조일장 선수와 이야기 나눠보겠습니다. 전반적으로 조일장 선수가 무난하게 D조에서 8강 진출을 이뤄낼 수 있을 것 같다라는 평가들이 많습니다. 하지만 연습한 도중에는 조일장 선수의 생각이 어땠을지는 좀 들어봐야 될 것 같은데요.
일단 연습을 많이 하긴 했는데 저는 이제 비방 연습을 이제 한 이틀 정도 했거든요. 근데 제 상대는 호선이 형은 한 2주 정도 하고 있더라고요. 그래가지고 좀 걱정되긴 하네요.
연습량에서 최호선 선수의 양이 좀 엄청나다는 걸 느꼈군요. 그렇지만 이번 시즌에 저그 종족의 강세가 좀 이어지고 있습니다.
네.
많은 저그 선수들이 지금 8강행 진출을 이뤄냈거든요. 이 부분에 대한 조일장 선수의 생각 어떠세요?
저도 이제 보는데 와 진짜 너무 잘하더라고요. 진짜 그냥 진짜 너무 잘해서 올라갈 수밖에 없는 그런 경기력들이었다고 생각해요.
본인도 그 대열에 합류하고 싶다는 생각이 분명 있으실 것 같은데 준비되셨나요?
저도 뭐 잘하니까 열심히 해서 올라가야죠.
아마 최호선 선수가 이렇게 많은 연습을 한 데에는 조일장 선수의 경기를 꼭 이기고 싶다는 생각 때문이 아니었을까 싶습니다. 옆에 계시는 최호선 선수와도 이야기 나눠보겠습니다. 안녕하세요.
네, 안녕하세요.
조일장 선수가 최호선 선수의 연습량이 엄청났다라고 이야기를 해주셨습니다. 정말 많이 하셨나요?
네, 많이 했죠. 네, 제 생각엔 좀 많이 한 것 같아요. 그래도.
그만큼 최호선 선수가 지금 2시즌 연속 16강에 진출해 내고 있으시기 때문에 이번에는 반드시 또 8강까지 한번 가보자라는 각오가 남다르실 것 같아요.
제가 뭐 이 조에서 좀 떨어질 확률이 높다고 하더라고요, 다들. 그래가지고 더 올라가고 싶은 마음이 있어가지고 열심히 준비했습니다.
하지만 최호선 선수 24강에 이어서 또 16강의 첫 경기가 저그전입니다. 연패가 아직까지는 깨지지 않고 있는 상황이기 때문에 첫 경기 좀 자신감이 상당하실 것 같아요.
근데 저는 제가 저그전 못한다고 생각 안 하는데
네.
그냥 대회에서 아예 못 이겼더라고요. 그래가지고 근데 자신감은 있어가지고 이길 수 있을 것 같아요. 그래도.
두 선수 모두 자신감이 상당해 보입니다. 자, 또 돌아온 독사 박성균 선수와도 이야기 나눠보겠습니다. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
24강에서 성공적인 복귀전을 치르시고 이제 오랜만에 16강 경기를 앞두고 계십니다. 좀 소감은 어떠세요?
일단 오늘도 조가 좀 많이 어렵다 생각하고 뭐 준비도 열심히 했는데 뭐 24강도 어려운 조 올라왔으니까 16강도 똑같이 올라갈 수 있다고 생각해요. 네.
박성균 선수가 만약 16강을 뚫고 또 8강에 진출하게 된다면 어떤 루트로 8강에 올라가게 될지 좀 박성균 선수의 생각이 궁금합니다. 가볍게 승자전 가능할까요?
일단 1경기를 뭐 이기든 지든 그냥 그 이제 그 뒤에 맵들이 좀 쉽지가 않아서 좀 그냥 그 승자패자전 거기서 좀 이긴다면은 최종전도 기세 받아서 뭐 올라갈 수 있을 것 같아요.
어떻게 해서든지 기세만 잡는다면 또 올라갈 수 있을 거라는 생각하고 계시는 것 같은데 김태경 선수와도 이야기 나눠보겠습니다. 안녕하세요.
네, 안녕하세요.
조지명식에서 마지막까지 선택받지 못하시면서 D조로 합류하게 되셨습니다. D조에 대한 만족도는 좀 어떠세요?
처음에는 좀 만족스럽긴 했는데 갈수록 연습할수록 뭔가 좀 미지수인 최호선도 있고 성균이가 또 체력이 많이 늘더라고요. 가면 갈수록. 그래가지고 좀 쉽지 않겠다 생각이 들어요.
김태경 선수 시즌 13, 시즌 14 계속해서 8강에 진출하고 계십니다. 새 시즌 연속 8강 진출을 위해서 어떤 선수가 좀 가장 견제가 되시는지도 궁금해요.
일단 저는 성균이 같아요. 성균이가 그래도 좀 괜찮다, 좀 쉽다 생각했는데 가면 갈수록 실력이 느는 게 느껴져가지고 좀 성균이만 잘 이기면 올라가지 않을까 생각이 들어요.
또 공백이 있었던 박성균 선수이기 때문에 스타일을 또 분석하는 데도 조금은 어려움이 있으셨을 것 같은데요. 이번에는 팬 여러분께서 남겨주신 질문을 전해드리겠습니다. 자, 먼저 16강 경기에서 탄탄대로의 승자전이냐 아니면 돌고 돌아 어려운 최종전이냐의 기로를 결정짓는 건 아무래도 단판 경기가 아닐까 싶습니다. 단판 경기의 준비를 어떻게 했는지 궁금해하시는 것 같아요. 최호선 선수, 단판 경기에 대한 준비 비중이 연습량의 비중이 좀 어느 정도였을지 좀 들어볼까요?
단판이요. 근데 첫 경기만 준비했어요. 솔직히 말하면은
네.
그냥 뭐 나머지는 뭐 빌드 같은 거 짜고 했는데 첫 경기에 거의 한 90% 준비해가지고 1경기만 이기면 올라가지 않을까 생각됩니다. 그래도 기세 타가지고.
조일장 선수, 최호선 선수께서는 단판 이 첫 경기에 모든 걸 거의 걸었다라고 말씀을 하셨습니다. 조일장 선수는 어떤가요?
저는 1경기보다는 이제 좀 다른 거 많이 비중을 두고 연습했는데 근데 1경기 이기면은 이제 무조건 올라갈 수 있을 것 같아요.
그렇군요. 다음 질문도 한번 드려보도록 하겠습니다. 자, 이제 단판을 뚫고 나면 다전제, 3판 2선제가 여러분을 기다리고 있습니다. 이번 시즌도 유독 장기전이 계속해서 나오고 있는 상황인데 장기전을 펼친 후에 또 연달아 세트가 진행되는 상황에서의 멘탈 관리는 어떻게 하시는지도 궁금해 하시더라고요. 김태균 선수는 또 워낙 경험이 많은 선수이기 때문에 이 부분에 대한 확실한 자기만의 스타일이 있으실 것 같아요.
제가 장기전 한 게 제호랑 4강전 할 때인가 그때가 첫 경기였는데 그때 지고 나서 솔직히 멘탈 관리가 안 되긴 했어요. 그냥 빨리 게임하고 싶다. 빨리 다음 게임에서 이기고 싶다. 이런 생각밖에 안 들더라고요.
네. 오히려 빠르게 다음 판에 적응을 해야 또 멘탈을 잡을 수 있겠다라는 생각을 김태균 선수는 갖고 계시는 것 같은데요. 자, 이번에는 다음 질문을 이번 시즌 한 단어로 요약을 하자면 변수가 아닐까 싶다는 생각이 드시나 봐요. D조 역시 누구나 8강에 진출할 수 있겠다라는 생각이 드는데 오늘 경기에서 가장 변수가 많을 것 같은 매치업이 있다면 어떤 선수와의 경기일지도 궁금해하시는 것 같습니다. 박성균 선수, 어떤 선수와의 매치업이 가장 좀 변수로 작용할 것 같나요?
저는 1경기 이제 호선이 형이랑 일장 형이 제일 변수가 많은 것 같아요. 호선이 형은 일단 비방으로 뭐 거의 한 달 넘게 연습 중이니까 일장 형 입장에서는 이게 어렵죠. 상대 데이터가 있어야 되는데 그냥 블라인드 매치거든요, 사실. 거의 뭐 보면 스타방처럼 상대 플레이를 모르고 준비해야 되니까 그게 좀 어렵지 않을까 아마 일장 형 입장에서. 네.
전혀 전략적인 노출이 없이 1경기를 보내야 하는 최우선 선수와 조일장 선수인데요. 자, 그래도 마지막으로 내가 2조에서 탄탄대로를 걸으며 8강에 진출하기 위해서 다전제에서 꼭 만나야 할 상대는 어떤 선수라고 생각하시는지도 좀 궁금해 하시는 것 같습니다. 조일장 선수.
아무래도 그래도 프로토스를 만나는 게 좋지 않을까 생각합니다.
상성상 1경기에서 승리한다면 승자전에서 김태경 선수를 만나고 싶다는 조일장 선수의 바람이 있었습니다. 자, 오늘 경기 만나보기 전에 선수들과 함께 이야기 나눠봤는데요. 끝으로 선수들에게 각오를 한 말씀씩 청해 듣겠습니다. 조일장 선수.
네, 오늘 잘해서 꼭 올라가도록 하겠습니다.
좋습니다. 최우선 선수.
네, 오늘 좀 부담은 되는데 그래도 좀 즐겨가지고 좋은 경기력으로 이기도록 하겠습니다.
기대하겠습니다. 박성균 선수.
오늘 뭐 쉽지 않은 조인데 꼭 올라가서 다시 8강 공무원으로 복귀하겠습니다.
기대하도록 하겠습니다. 마지막 김태경 선수.
저도 ASL이 이제 시드권자가 얼마나 좋은지 보면서 느꼈기 때문에 8강, 뭐 4강까지 진짜 갈 수 있도록 오늘 한번 이겨보도록 하겠습니다.
네, 인터뷰 감사드리고요. 네, 선수의 멋진 경기 기대하겠습니다. 고맙습니다. 네, 핫식스와 함께하는 ASL 시즌 15 마지막 16강의 D조 경기를 앞두고 있습니다. 과연 마지막 8강행 티켓의 주인공은 어떤 선수들이 될지 지금부터 D조 경기 함께 만나보시죠.
Let's go.
Hello out there, everyone. Welcome to the final day of the round of 16. After this, we're going to be going right into the round of 8. It's been an insane ASL so far. We've had so many upsets. We already have such an odd round of 8, at least with the 6 players who've made it. Very Zerg heavy. And I'm curious to see how we're going to close this round of 16 out so we can cement those final 8 players and ultimately decide who's going to be the actual world champion of StarCraft Brood War.
Yeah, I think everyone in the world except for Hero and maybe Jaedong is praying right now that it's going to be Bisu and one of the Terran players to kind of bring some sort of balance. But I'm nervous, man. Hero is like one of my picks for the season. He is definitely one of the very best players in the world. I think I look at this group and no one looks like they would dominate him. No one looks like a free or easy win against him. So we might have one of the most Zerg-heavy end tournaments we've ever had here at ASL.
Could happen. By the way, guys, thank you for the love on Patreon, patreon.com/ASL English. We need your support. We hope to earn it from you. And if you are able to do that, just go to that website, sign up, and sign up for a year, and it would mean the world to us.
Yeah, guys, if you've been sitting on the fence for a while about signing up, it's a perfect time, right? We're finishing out the round of 16 now, the round of 8. I know, Tastosis, that's your favorite part of the tournament. I think it is mine as well. Those best of 5s are always so well planned, always so high level. And it's just going to be a great tournament moving forward as well.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. And one of the odder Star Leagues over the past, I'd say, 5 years, at least so far. We could end up with like 4 Zergs in the final 4 even. We haven't had anything that's starting to look as weird as this since the KSL that I think we did maybe 4 or 5 years ago. This was like when we were doing both StarCraft 2 in studio and StarCraft 1 in studio, and a lot of the StarCraft 2 people watched that KSL with 4 Protosses in the Final Four and asked, is this normal? And we had to say, no, not at all, actually. It's really weird, but I guess eventually it was going to happen, right? We get enough players together who are all great. You're going to have so many different types of outcomes. That was one of them. This could be another Zerg-heavy round of 4 and round of 8 as well, with I think a very likely chance Hero could get out first. He's in great shape. Bisu is the guy I'm eyeballing, I think, along with everybody else. I think at this point in time, Hero is the person everybody's sort of rooting against right now, as we just want another Terran or another Protoss to get into that round of 8.
Yeah. And the thing is, these 3 players absolutely able to do it. Bisu, of course, one of the strongest Protosses in the world. I have always felt like his PVT is a little bit lower level than his other matchups, so he could have a little bit of a hard time. And, sSak and Mind shouldn't be underestimated. They're not as flashy as some of the other Terrans in the tournament. They're not as young as some of the other Terrans in the tournament, but they are really strong.
It would be exciting to see Mind advance here. That being said, I do think Bisu and Hero are extremely strong, even if Mind's in top shape.
Yeah, that is for sure. Now, going into the first match here, Hero, this is so funny, 48% win versus Terran. That's because he has played Flash so many times in ASL, literally. That is exactly why that is, because he has one of the best CVTs in the world. He is so strong at it, tactically, macro-wise, micro-wise. This is going to be a hard one for his opponent. But, sSak is a player that in a best of 1, now he's not tricky, but he does very high-tech builds, and he's very slow on expanding. So, like, it's almost impossible to kill him. And you'll notice that this happens in, like, every ASL. Like, him versus Mini, right? Remember in the last round, it's like, well, sSak just isn't going to take a third very quickly. Like, he's going to have a big army, and if you screw up at all, or, like, attack in, he might just kill your whole army and then kill you, or he might kill you if you're being too greedy. I think he's a hard style for people to play against in a best of 1.
It's a tricky thing about the round of 16 is we do start out with best of 1s, which, I think anybody who's really in tip-top shape is always a little bit uncomfortable with the best of 1, and if you're maybe a little bit lower in skill, you're thinking, well, there's got to be a way I can plan something out, right? I can come up with something that's going to give me a good shot at winning this. I think Hero should take this. Maybe not that easily, but, Hero, he's always a very tough Zerg for anybody to go against. He's very good at navigating tournaments and groups like this. So definitely sSak has his work cut out for him.
Yeah, it's a tough group for him. There's no question about that. But here we go, guys. Match number 1 going to start. Hero versus sSak. The end of round of 16.
Tastosis got killed again at the start of the show. He's like, go for sSak.
I'm like, God, what am I doing here?
You said you're feeling sick today,
those.
Right?
God, yeah, I have a little head cold, sorry. I might sound a bit more nasally than normal if that's possible. So we have up at 12 o'clock, Hero. And on the right side, we have sSak. And, Sylphid is a map where Mutalisk Harassment is like another gear up from a lot of other maps. It is a little bit tricky to defend against it. But, again, with sSak, he doesn't do normal SK Terran openers that often. It's not that he can't, but he does do a lot of tech builds like 1-1-1s. In fact, if you remember, Tastosis, when Flash really worked a lot on the 1-1-1 build that really wrecked Zerg around ASL Season 5, that was based off of a build that sSak was using for a while. So that kind of shows his style really well if you think of it in those terms.
And even though sSak is vastly overshadowed by a lot of the other Terrans in this ASL, it's important to remember that he's been in many ASLs where other players have popped in and maybe faded out. He's really been around for a very long time.
Yeah. Like, I mean, he is a really strong Terran player, too. Like, when you talk to other Terrans, he gets ranked in the top 10 always, and I've heard him ranked as high as top 6 Terran in the world. It's just, he really does put out really high-level games very consistently. He's just not quite that. He doesn't have that extra oomph that gives you the championship like a Light or, you know, what Royal did last season.
Right. Yeah, he's very solid. He's very good at what he's doing. I don't think he's ahead of the Terrans, but I think he's able to keep up with the rest of them. In this game, it's actually going to be Barracks into Refinery. So it's going to be a tech opening right away here for sSak.
Yeah, and this is like very much his style. I would imagine here that we're going to see like a 1-1-1, but it could be like a Goliath build, some sort of mech build. He really does have the most technical builds. It's like I honestly don't remember the last time that I saw him go just Marine Medic, just a straight up Marine Medic opener against Zerg. It's just not his style.
Yeah, and it's totally okay to do this. I do think, that was kind of funny. The drone is somehow stuck here for a second, almost couldn't get out. But yeah, I mean, the drone's going to come in and see that this is in fact a factory coming down here, and there are many ways to play this. In TVZ, it really does have such an insane amount of different approaches to fast expands, to tech builds. It is kind of a weird thought, but when you think about it, it is somewhat true that both Protoss and Terran have an insane number of ways to open up versus Zerg. As scary as Zerg
I guess that's
is
true,
early
actually.
game. Yeah, there's all these kind of weird, it's from like one-base tech builds to rushes where you proxy stuff on the map to a big variety of different fast expand builds. It does seem like Zerg is a race where there's a lot of different ways to try to take it on, and not one of those openers is obviously the one you always want to use.
That's very true. You do need to kind of rotate against Zerg. I think a big part of that reason is Zerg really has to get an expansion up to be actually strong. You know? Like, they can't just sit on one base for a little bit and then go expand. It's like they're just far too weak at that point. It has to have something to do with the way that larvas are used for drones, right? Like, they have to hit a critical mass of drones to be able to actually afford what they're doing. Whereas with Terran and Protoss, you can, like, go a little bit slower, but you haven't stopped your worker production.
We've got a Hydra Den coming here now. This is, and a canceled add-on here on the factory.
That's interesting.
But that was not scouted, right? So I wonder if something else prompted him to cancel that from what he had scouted maybe on the Zerg side.
Yeah, like, I mean, maybe it's the... No, I mean, it wouldn't be the timing of the Sunken, because the timing of the Sunken is completely normal. Maybe he was just on, like, autopilot for something. I'm not sure. But a Wraith coming out...
Yeah.
Yeah. The Hydralisk Den... if Zergs know that you're doing like a 1-1-1, they really do like things like that Hydralisk Den, right? Because it kind of counters both Wraith and Vulture. And this type of opener has actually come back into popularity in like the last, I don't know, week? Something like that, where I've actually been seeing Terrans more and more go back into the 1-1-1, getting an actual Wraith. So these Hydras walking across, he's going to need a bunker. Tasteless, like this... Right now, he has no intel on this. He actually might die right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, if enough Hydras get over here, they do beat Vultures, they do beat Wraiths, and I don't see a tank or, a bunker set up just yet.
Oh, this is bad news for that Vulture, man. The SCV's being pulled. He's only got 2 Marines. Like, if he had a bunker up, he lives through it. But if they just attack right now, and they're going to, he has Hydra speed. Oh, my God, Tasteless.
I think this is over.
No. Yeah, this is as bad as it can really get. I would love to see him target the SCV that's building the command center right now. I think that that's like a key move. But he is going to kill a lot of SCVs. Maybe you get the bunker up and technically can hold right there, but your command center gets killed. Dude, honestly, the game's like... I don't think you come back from something like this. This is terrible. His command center was almost done. All he has on the map is 1 Wraith. Complete control by Hero. Complete control of this game.
Yeah, it's too bad the command center didn't finish and maybe he could run away with it. The Hydras are continuing to be pumped out here, and he's going to rally those down. It's not easy to get in here and take out the bunker, but it's also not impossible for the Zerg to pull it off. There's going to be a Science Vessel finishing, which really doesn't help in any way versus this. I mean, I don't think he has a Radiator or anything like that, so, like, eventually... He may have enough Hydras that he can just overpower the bunker. It's not that easy to actually repair the bunker either. I guess you can do this too. I guess you are in range of these depots.
Yeah, with that Hydralisk range, man, you just knock everything down, then do the rush. This is just like busting cannons at a Protoss base, you know? Remove the forge and the gateway, and then just get up there and kill the bunker because you have more surface area to attack. Now, there is a siege tank coming out, so I think sSak, again, technically lives. But what he has can never turn into even an attack, right? Like, he's got Marines. This is like a vanilla StarCraft composition. He doesn't have an academy. He has just like some vanilla Marines and like a siege tank and a Wraith. It's so wretched, tasteless. Like no one would ever stay in this game in the ladder. Never.
This is what many games on the US East server looked like the first year the game was out. You know, it's like, well, I'm going to get my third barracks here shortly, and you know, eventually I'm going to move out when I've got a couple tanks and infantry, and meanwhile the Zerg's on 2 bases. The Wraith goes down, and look, this game's going to play itself out, but games like this, and this is kind of what a lot of games, if you were to just take a snapshot of where these two players are at, this is what games did look like a long, long time ago, and there's a reason why they don't look like that anymore. For a while, people experimented with one base powering with Terran, and trying to move out and maybe push the third base while Terran takes a late second. It just doesn't really work if the Zerg is on top of their stuff. Obviously, sSak didn't choose to have a game like this. He's in this position because he was forced away from his command center that was close to finishing, and that was killed off.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. He walked to the side with a Marine, and then a Ling was there, so he brought his Vulture over. Instead of scouting Zerg like you're supposed to with the Vulture, he brought it over to protect the Marine, and now look at him. It's because he didn't let the Marine die. It's such a bad spot. Now, he's getting Irradiate, and he has 2 vessels, okay? He's getting Stim right now. He has 2 racks. This is certainly going to be like a 1-base all-in from sSak. And, you know, 2 Irradiates will hurt the Mutas quite a bit if he gets, like, really strong Irradiates and maybe does a 2 Siege Tank, like 12 Marine, 2 Medic push. Like, that's probably his best chance at getting something done here. You know, he needs to basically make the Mutas completely worthless and catch Hero droning up. It doesn't seem like a likely thing to happen, but maybe.
Double Irradiate there.
Oh my god,
wait, was that on the same one?
Yes.
Okay.
That is
that's
tasteless.
Unfortunate. Maybe a little bit too fast.
That feels terrible when you have 6 vessels, okay? When you're on 1 base with 2, it's like, oh man, this is not a good day for you, sSak. This is bad.
We've got more Mutas coming. Oh, sorry, Scourge coming down here. Now, it doesn't look like Hero has the toughest army. But I think he can still basically hang versus this. He takes out both vessels, beautifully done.
That's
now, there aren't
painful.
any lurkers out, but you're right, Artosis. Yeah, I mean, Terran was trying to accumulate vessels since the start of the 1 base, and the fact that that's been shut down is pretty brutal. Now a lot of Lings are being made. I'm not used to seeing games like this handled the way they are from Hero, but I think he might be able to just make Hydras, Mutas, and Zerglings and just fight like that. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
More lurkers are going to come. I thought we had to eventually get to lurkers up here.
Well, honestly, he's so far ahead, like, he might be able to just do it with just a smattering of units, right? He's got 4 hatches. Like, just producing anything and surrounding the army might be enough. But obviously, the lurkers, after you've killed 2 vessels, are super, super strong. He does siege up here and catch, like, a couple Lings as this flanking army comes around. Gonna be hard to reinforce. Like, I mean, the writing has been on the wall for a long time. sSak is actually rotating back. Now, there is this funny thing you could try to do, because there's so many units being made. See, his SCV actually sees how many units are out. You know your army can't beat that, okay? So you can go home and make a command center and, like, try to like, lure him into attacking you because he's got this huge army, but God, there's no real good choice here.
He's going to try to loop around. Remember that there just aren't that many tanks, and there still is no command center down here at the 3rd. So, you know, Hero doesn't have to engage here. I think he might anyways, but all he has to do is basically keep the Terran, you know, busy while he keeps growing and taking the map. Lings are going to come down here and wipe out these tanks that remain over here. Not exactly the greatest attack here from Hero, if I'm going to be honest, but at the same time, he has so much, it kind of doesn't really matter.
Yeah, sSak has been pushed all the way back. Like, he's He's fighting. He's giving it the old college try, but look at the supplies here. It's 70 against 45. It's 3 base against 1 base, right? Like these are terrible statistics that we're looking at. And there's no real way for sSak to like continually upgrade or anything. Like he's only getting 300 gas a minute compared to 900 gas a minute. This is a lot of lurkers. Like even if Hero loses that entire army, I think he can still pull enough together to kill sSak.
There's nothing quite like when there's just too many lurkers out. When they attack it and lurkers just kind of run everywhere and go underground, and if you don't leave immediately, everything that's touching the floor dies.
Yeah. I hate that
way,
moment, Tasteless.
Still no expansion. This is on purpose, by the way. sSak knows he's all in. He's been all in for minutes now.
Yeah, as soon as the Hydras got to his natural and got rid of that command center, a lot of his potential in this game just instantly disappeared. Now he has mixed some fire bats in to try to deal with these Zerglings really quickly. Spreads those siege tanks, and here we go. This should be the final attack of the game, I would imagine. A lot of lurkers here. Obviously, you cannot engage those. He has to run back. And is Hero going to go again? I feel like he should. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I mean, this was over at like minute 5 easily. But,
for sure.
You know, you're in ASL. You gotta hope and you gotta try. There have been insane comebacks before, right? Like
we've all had games where something happens early on and you get thrown off. You don't get to get your build going, and that's exactly what happened there. The Hydra push totally caught sSak off guard.
Yeah. He didn't have his Vulture out to see that, and your Vulture has to be in front of their natural, so you know if something like that's coming. But we have had comebacks. I'm sure a lot of people are shaking their head at that, but like Leda versus Action comes to mind. If you guys don't remember that game, look it up. It was the most insane comeback I've literally ever seen. It was an ASL game. So, he's hoping for something like that. Unfortunately, he's going to fall to that loser match. Not a big surprise, though, because Hero is just next level. I do favor him probably to get out first, even if he's playing against Bisu next. Like, Hero versus Bisu, that would be a great match, so I'd love to see that.
Well, we're definitely going to have better games than that one, guys. I'm glad we got it out of the way. Sometimes, even at the pro level, you'll see a slip-up early on, and it's a slow death from there on out. Up next, Mind versus Bisu. We're going to be going to that after this short break. We will be right back.
드디어 카운트다운을 시작합니다. 4, 3, 2, 1. 떴다. 제로 칼로리로 기분까지 가볍게. 밀키스 제로.
실성사이다 제로.
너도 탐세봐 탐세로.
We're back, everybody. It's time to go into game 2. I'm done with the game 1, man. That was not a lot to say. The rush comes in.
Everyone's done with game 1.
A lot of people just leave. Obviously, you're an ASL player. You might as well try your heart out and see if you can pull it off. Hero played a very patient and honestly very smart game post-rush. He accumulated enough Hydras. He made enough Mutas to engage with the Vessels. The Vessels are, by the way, the only thing that's going to give you value long-term. If he can get up to 4 Vessels and keep irradiating, he might, over time, with the greatest control ever, maybe win. But Hero knew exactly how to kill that in its crib. He got the mutas out, flew the Scourgeon, took that out, and from there, it's a lot less about micro and tactics and more about just the fact that Hero's on 3 bases, whereas sSak is on 1. Going into our next match, it's going to be Mind versus Bisu.
Yeah, and this is a very exciting match. I do want to remind people, I'm sure most people remember who have watched StarCraft for a long time. A lot of people ask, why was there no Protoss Bonjour? And the actual answer is Mind, because Bisu was about to win another MSL after his historic run, and then Mind came out of nowhere and toppled him in the finals, right? So, like, Bisu was about to make this, like, insane run and become this super, super dominant player. But Mind, he pops up, he ruins that, and he, like, there was a moment where it was him and Flash. It wasn't just Flash that were at the top of the Terran scene. We were wondering who was going to be the best, the mega champion. It wasn't Mind. He had some, like, if I recall correctly, some issues in real life and kind of was a little bit distracted and stuff. But you know what, Tasteless? He's always been a very strong player. He is back in form right now. And I tell you, he's honestly one of my favorite Terrans again now, because he was back then, and he's just such a brilliant mind. I'm very excited to see what he pulls out tonight.
We're going to go to Sylphid for map number 2. Mind versus Bisu, kind of a blast from the past, but here now in 2023, Bisu expected to win, but Mind has really worked on himself. He's revamped his approach to coming into tournaments. We saw some pretty big fizzle outs from Mind in the past, but here he is now, and I think this is, if he's going to have a good ASL season, this is going to be the one. And again, Bisu's still hungry to come back and come on top and win an ASL. This should be a great best of 1 moving forward.
Up at 12 o'clock, we have Mind. And on the right side, we have Bisu. Dude, this is going to be great. I really hope that neither of them screws up in the early game.
Yeah.
Because I think a nice 20-something minute TVP between these two would be amazing. But I keep thinking back to Light versus Snow in Group C and how, like, Snow took damage on a goon and Light killed him for it. And it's like, oh no, those types of games are so sad. Like, you can learn a lot watching them, but it's you know, it's not exciting like this could be.
Yeah, this is a fun one, I think, for you, Artosis, and I know for me as well, because the time when these guys battled it out in the past. Oh, nice. Can't handle the mind games. Welcome, guys, to the studio. We got a lot of, you see a lot of fans, foreign fans coming down here, and no doubt for Bisu. Probably mine too, but, going back to the days when these guys fought Artosis, we must have been around like 18 years old, right? 19 years old when these guys were duking it out in StarLeague finals.
I believe that these two fought in a StarLeague finals in like 2006 or 2007, something like that. But I don't remember the exact year. But yeah, it was around there in the MSL finals. But yeah, I mean, it was a long time ago, Tastosis. We're very old now.
Yeah, but I just remember like watching these, being out of done with high school, but hanging out with my brother in the attic, watching these two guys battle, and it was so cool. And it's just crazy to think that after StarCraft had been out for that long, we still had so many more years to come to get to even now, where here they are fighting again. For a long time, it did feel like, especially in the old days of StarCraft, everything sort of felt fleeting, right? It was like, well, can this go on for another year? And how long can this possibly last for? And this is such an anomaly. This was the only esport there was that had any kind of support or infrastructure like this. But, here we are, man. And decade plus later, they're back duking it out once more.
Yeah. That Kespa era
two decades was, even. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. But yeah, that Kespa, era Brood War scene was really, really something else. But the thing is, it's like everything is still super healthy with Brood War. It's kind of amazing. It's great to see these guys making full careers where the pro play is part of it, the ASL is part of it, but you know they're kept afloat with like streaming and things like that, and it's awesome. It's just a wonderful world that we're in right now for these pros. Now, a Zealot is coming out, but he actually sent his Marine way forward to kind of scout this. That was actually kind of a smart move, because if there's a Zealot or not a Zealot, like the way that you open is completely different when you take your expansion.
And Bisu, it's always fun to watch this guy play. He does play a lot like his old self. A lot of the builds he's used, we've seen many times before. This is one of the older builds. I would say still not easy to pull off, but Gateway sticking out in your natural so that Zealots get there a few seconds more quickly, and it allows you to put on a little bit more pressure without really sacrificing much of anything, other than the vulnerability of having your main production structure on the outside of your base.
Yeah. Now, with 5 Marines, an SCV, and a Vulture, you easily parry everything you see here. Mine should probably think about going. He is going to try to chase this down. The SCV sometimes can get ahead and block things, but it doesn't look like he gets it there. He's going to back up and hopefully make that command center right away. But I wonder if he's going to follow this up with a pressure, right? When you've already been forced into making like 5 Marines, sometimes Terran players like to add a couple more Marines, grab a tank, get mines, and then go across the map and see if they can, you know, injure their opponent for committing into these units.
If he does decide to do that, we want to make sure that he doesn't drop a Dragoon or a Zealot. We could end up seeing a recreation of what happened to Snow the other day, especially even more so with the Gateway already hanging outside the base. The command center is about halfway done. We've got the Robotech started here. We don't know if more Gateways are going to be thrown down or if he may try to tack up into Reavers or something like that.
Yeah, hard to say on that. Like, I'm trying to think here. It's like Bisu, I always think of carriers for this matchup. Like, but I feel like that maybe it's just because he has a few iconic games where he went carriers against Terran, and it didn't work out so well. But you know, this guy, I love it when he goes for something like the Speed Shells with High Templars, because he's so good at that in the other matchups, and it's so strong right now in the Protoss vs Terran metagame.
Certainly. We're going to get an idea in a little bit of how he wants to approach this. He is with his 4 Dragoons. 4 is the number. Doesn't mean you're 100% guaranteed to win, but you should have good odds in a fight. And so he's going to back up. A little bit of bumping, actually, with these 2 Dragoons on the far right. But overall, decent splitting. He's going to try, it looked like, to dive on the tank. He baited the tank into running out, but actually he just kind of A-moved it and spread the damage very nicely everywhere out. There was a lot to that little engagement. I really like what I saw. You know, the Terran always wants to run with the tank right away, and so he scooted forward and then A-clicked on the ground. The tank kept running back. All the Marines and Vultures got picked off pretty easily, and that was a pretty good disarming overall of that small push from mine.
Yeah, the one Vulture that came in the side that kind of glitched, that was a little bit painful. When you do a push like that, you need every unit to do its job really well as Terran, or it can look like that. Now, it's not the end of the world. The Marines actually don't scale beyond, like, right now anyways, so losing the Marines is not a big deal. You've got a couple mines out there. Your tank didn't die, so it's like, okay, we just kind of go forward from here. You know, sometimes you're going to get some decent damage with that, and sometimes it's going to be shut down like we just saw.
We do have a mine being planted over here at a likely 4th base location. The Observer is going to head up now to the north and try to get an idea of what's going on. Over for Terran, we do have an armory being made. I don't know if it's tempting right now to try to push out with those Dragoons until he can confirm that there's no starport, but without siege mode, you can poke in.
Yeah, with the Observer, you know, the thing is, like, Terran players definitely have it mapped out pretty well. You know, the mines slow the goons, and you can generally get your siege mode pretty late nowadays. That's probably siege mode that's about to finish up there. Sometimes a Terran will try to grab speed, you know, and have that counter-harassment potential there. I love it when we see builds like that, but mine looking pretty solid. You know, he's getting all the things that you need as Terran, the 3rd factory, the armory. I love that he has an academy up right now as well, so he can really keep an eye on what Bisu's doing.
This is going to be quick arbiters, I do believe, unless there's going to be a DT tech in between.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right about that. It looks like an arbiter build here from Bisu.
And this is nice deflection here. Again, Bisu kind of keeps it old school, and it's not bad. It's not what a lot of the other Protosses are doing, but this is very much like a classical PvT from the past. You know, the third Nexus is up after you've got an observer out to make sure everything's safe. The Citadel, the Stargate, and the Templar Archives are rushed. Gateways are there to fill in everything in between. And you notice where the pylons are placed in the shot in the main. This is so that everywhere around this can be filled up with gateways. And he's going to go into a 3-base powering play. Pylons coming in here to encase the probes in safety away from the vultures.
And I got to say, like, that was a really excellent scan we just saw from Mind. He saw the Stargate and the Templar Archives building next to each other, so he knows that this is a quick Arbiter. And he looks like he's pushing, but I don't think he's actually going to push here. It's really hard to push against fast Arbiter builds because you generally have a lot of gateway units with that as well. And if you don't have your third base up, like, you're going to be dead when the Arbiter comes out. You have to, like, against Arbiter, they can't really attack you, but they defend well, so you really want to get that third base as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and Bisu's been extremely patient in all of this. Basically not overextending with Dragoons, being a little bit even slow at some points in time, trying to fight these Vultures, but it's always just enough. You can see he shuts that down once more. Probes are going to continue to be cranked out, and I want to go big picture for a second here. Bisu has hardly lost any Dragoons at all. I'm not even sure if he has lost Dragoons at all.
I believe he has not lost any Dragoons.
Yeah, so we might want to remind ourselves when we see the next big fight that Protoss has literally not lost a unit, and we've seen Marines, Vultures. I don't think a tank, but this stuff does begin to add up, right? All get picked off.
Sure, it's a big deal. Now a drop is coming down towards that main base. Cannon not quite ready, so Mind is going to have a little window here where he can kill a decent amount of probes. A very quick retreat there from Bisu, but still some damage will be dealt.
So this cannon about to finish up here. The Dragoons are going to come in. Unfortunately, he doesn't really kill that much. He's going to try to go for the dropship, and I think actually Mind overstepped. So this is a very interesting game in that Bisu has almost played flawlessly. In fact, he almost intercepted that dropship before it went over there. He was like a second and a half off from getting there.
Yeah.
But basically, Bisu is just literally not making any mistakes. Even in the drop, he got pretty much every probe out, and then he killed the dropship. So, again, remember that in PvT, the Protoss is, I guess, duty in the matchup, his purpose in the matchup, and the way the matchup functions is that you're racing to try to get maxed out. Well, this Protoss is going to get maxed out very comfortably, and again, all I'm really seeing here is a Vulture here or there get picked off and traded out for a probe.
Yeah, there is an issue here. Like, if you're jotting in with the Vultures and lose them, but you're getting some solid damage, okay, that's one thing. But literally, he's killed one Zealot and like 8 or 9 probes, and dude, he's lost what? 10 Vultures, a dropship. The Marines I don't really care about, but like right now, Bisu's up more than 40 supply. Okay, and Mind has dropped probably 26 supply of Vultures or something like that. Like, the supplies should be a lot closer than they are right now.
Yeah. We're going to see probably an old school Protoss attack here with the stasis, the shuttle dropping on top of the tanks, and the Zealots and Dragoons forcing their way in. Right over here to the third base. Mines are very well placed out here, but, I just worry that the reality is that Bisu has catapulted so far ahead that there's not that much Mind can do with this. And Mind and Best are probably the two best Protoss players at breaking into what appear to be impregnable, impossible positions. And so we should be ready for that. By the way, the turrets coming down here are perfectly timed out to stop a recall if Bisu instead alternatively wants to do a recall here.
Yeah, and that still could be a strong move once he gets up to enough bases, right? Like, the recalls on this map, it is one of the scariest things to do as Terran. You could see he actually just scanned where an Arbiter normally goes. That's kind of a funny scan that we saw. So he's trying to figure out, like, oh, is this actually coming? Because Sylphid is, I think, out of all the maps we have in ASL this season, this is probably the best map for recall overall. It's just with that wall around your base, trying to get back in there to deal with it, it's a real pain.
So he pokes in with the Arbiter. Obviously confident he's not going to get EMP'd here. And he might be looking for a spot to try to stasis this off. I guess he wants to try to come in on the side with these Dragoons. I'm going to watch very carefully here because Bisu's so good at these positions. I guess he actually wants to recall on top of the natural or maybe loop all the way around.
I think he's going to recall at the right side of the main, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's
here.
correct. Yeah, he's going to go all the way around here. And I guess you can do this. The vessel is in the wrong spot. Oh my
man.
God, is he going to get the EMP in time? Oh, no, he does not. I forgot that you cast that spell. And it actually causes the recall before the mana has been diminished. The mana leaves last, weirdly.
So, yeah, that's a recall right there. He's going to get one of these armories. Not sure if that's the attack one or the armor one. Mind is actually clearing it pretty well, pretty cleanly here. And you can see Bisu moving his goons over to the left. I actually really like plays like this where you might clear some of the turrets. I think that's like pretty worthwhile because Terran has to relay mines. They have to remake turrets because the first recall generally is not that good. It's the second recall and the third recall, right? Because you're really taxing Terran. Their setup is going to be best for the first one and get worse progressively.
Now, that being said, I don't think mine's in terrible condition. I do think Bisu's doing exactly what is required of him in that he is continuing to expand throughout the map. He's taken the other main. I do think this is not as bad as it was earlier on here for mine.
Yeah. Well, that recall, it did stuff. It did stuff. It wasn't like a complete waste or anything, but it was not awesome, right? So like Bisu did spend a lot of supply there. He didn't kill a lot of supply. It's like, yeah, some SCVs, some important buildings and stuff. And he's controlling the tempo of the game, and these are all important things. Oh, God. The science facility did see that Arbiter, but did mine see it? Yes, he's sending his units up into the main base.
Yeah, he's going to be ready for this. He might even just run in there and then ping the Arbiter with an EMP. Arbiter's going to come forward. Hold on. Oh, why are we not watching this? He doesn't manage to catch up in time. He's going to recall our Tastosis.
Yeah, he recalls. The mines were not quite down. Oh, 6! Some of them did get down. And this recall, much worse than the first one, honestly. Like, I'm surprised he did that when he was spotted multiple times and the army was literally following his Arbiter. I don't think you're ever going to have a good engagement there, right?
I think that we're starting to see why this is not as popular as it was way in the past. You know, the recalls are very strong when you pull them off, but you're also relying on one unit not casting a spell on another that'll take away its mana. Also, you don't know where the mines are in the main. Sometimes you recall on mines. And there's a predictability to this, too. I mean, we didn't have the threat of Reavers, Carriers, Psystorm. It was a rush right into Arbiter Tech, a classic Bisu play, but at the same time, if you only have to worry about recall or stasis, that's way easier than having to worry about all these other possible threats on the map. And now, for the first time ever, it's going to be Mind moving out on the map. He does have another Arbiter here. A stasis is probably available, but this is a lot of tanks, and Bisu may pay dearly in this game.
Yeah, this push is really good for Mind, and he needs to do it well, because the one thing to mention is that the fourth base is incredibly late, and especially for this map, because on this map, like, that third base mines out very quickly. Oh my God, if he MPs that. Oh, tasteless! This is a perfect opportunity for Mind. Like, he needs to push now towards the natural.
Yeah, this is how you die when you go Arbiter. Note that he doesn't have Psystorm, or if he does, it's in the shuttle and I didn't see it, but Zealots and Dragoons will die if the Terran army is upgraded enough. Just Vultures and tanks can easily take this on. We have the big attack coming in here now.
Oh, yeah. This is not good what's going on. He does have some High Templars. He will try to throw down some Storms. Most of the Zealots get eaten up before they can get to the tanks. He does get, like, a couple okay size Storms, but the army value of Mind is so much higher right now.
More tanks are coming out right now. Bisu with a lot of money. The tanks alone are so scary. It does look like he denied the armor upgrade at the armory from the recall, the first one early on.
Yeah.
But these tanks are going to get closer and closer here. Most of the gateways are in the main for Bisu. That's very normal to have happen on Sylphid. There are some gateways that are in the other main that Bisu's taken. But if you can push in here and contain the exit point for those gateways, you can branch off and kill all these other bases with just a handful of tanks.
That's right. That's exactly what you want to go for in a situation like this. He wants to box in the army, kill off the army, you know, get in front of the natural, just start killing Nexuses. And of course, he does have his 4th base down. He's setting up a 5th base now, has a couple turrets there. Of course, Bisu could recall that and kill it off. Might be a good usage of those units right there if he gets the recall energy, because those are just going to get splattered.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has to recall these or just give them up. Either one is not really ideal. I think we're actually to the point of no return. I think when those EMPs connected on the Arbiters, that's what really cost him the game.
Well, you know, the double recall that didn't work well also. Like, Mind had built up so many siege tanks at that point, and just, he nailed the push, too. He did it just right. And without any stasis energy, like, he had 2 storms that went off. That's not enough. But now we do have a counter recall here at that 4th base location. That's a pretty darn good move. That's a big army.
It is a big army, but it can't be merged up with the other army that's going to be produced back at home. He is going to target down the command center, so that command center is going to be picked off. It does look like the vultures and tanks are not enough to really head-on fight the you know, whatever is remaining over here. But
he will clean that. But go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry, Tastosis. I was going to say, you know, once you get this contained over here, it's very easy for the Terran to close the game out because there's no way to combat, you know, these units unless you're just recalling over and over, which, you know, you can only recall so much stuff. You have no way to get anything out. Now, there are other gateways in the main, but I think at this point in time, it's not going to be difficult for Mind to knock the Protoss onto 2 bases and kind of let the game sort itself out.
For sure. I think here, the best play, like, you siege this up, right? You kill this area, leave a few units, lay some mines, that type of thing. Then just gather your army and go kill the left-hand side, and like, Bisu is going to be forced out. See, he's sending a lot of siege tanks up there right now. I think it's a great time to start reinforcing heavily. The only thing that's wrong for Mind here, or bad for Mind, is he's only mining off 1 base, right? Everything else is mined out. So, like, if Bisu can somehow scrape together defenses, like, look, this is he's going to kill these tanks, right? Mind didn't send that many units, and now he's losing a big group of those tanks. Okay. And if he can do things like that a few more times, maybe there's comeback potential.
There's the one base that Mind has is the most recallable spot on the whole map.
Yeah.
The center right is like, what? Are you kidding me? Like, he gets to recall almost into his own base with that. So, yeah, maybe I need to hold off for a second here. Mind's income is I mean, it's not... It's actually lower than Bisu's right now, if I'm looking at this correctly.
Yeah, you're right. Bisu definitely has more income right now. And Mind, actually, you know, he's having a hard time getting a real-sized army together, so he actually brought his contain away, which is going to allow Bisu to get back out on the map. Man, now I think Bisu's choice here is either do you try to flank and kill this army, or do you go kill, like, his only mining base and then try to whittle it down? I don't know, man, because the actual attack Mind is pulling off on the left side looks too strong for Bisu to kill.
Yeah, maybe if he has good storms, maybe if that's unsieged and he has a shuttle full of Templars, maybe you can blanket that and kind of run away. I don't think you engage us when it's sieged up.
Ooh.
Oh, I think it was full of Zealots anyways.
Yeah, it looks it. 2 Zealots popped out there at the end. But he's killed that base. He's going to let Bisu retain 9 o'clock, and Mind has floated his main command center over to another base here towards the top left. So now Mind has 2 bases mining. He's trying to retake his 4th base at mineral only in the right corner. Yeah, that's... I think this is a great way to try to finish out his Mind, right? Like, you just kind of zone your defense, get all these bases up, and what is Bisu going to do with 1 mining base?
Well, I mean, he's probably going to die out here. I do think it's an impressive showing from him that he kind of was able to hang and get out on the map, but I don't know, man. You know, this Arbiter style, Bisu's probably the best at it in the world, or at least one of the best, but I do feel like it's obsolete, and I think it was really shown why it's obsolete because there's only so many limited opportunities. You have to have every recall work. If one of the recalls doesn't work, you're probably just going to lose the game outright.
Yeah, I think the first one can kind of fail, but you have to nail the next one. Like, I think it's really important on that, or Terran's going to roll through you, and that's exactly what we saw this game. And GG is called. That means that Mind going to go to that winner's match I tell you, that was really solidly played. I think you can see the power that Mind is bringing to the table. Like, he really dealt with everything very well, especially after a kind of a rocky opening, right? He lost so many vultures, his drop. None of it did anything. You know, he got kind of low economy, but after stopping those recalls, he knew exactly what to do.
Well, there you go, guys. Mind defeats Bisu, and Bisu now in the losers bracket. He's going to go up against sSak. He's going to have a chance to try to prove himself in PvT, but that means up next, Hero versus Mind. Mind looked very good, but I do feel like Hero so far has shown to be the best as far as being in shape, looking modern, looking very on point. I still think this should be favored for Hero going forward.
Yeah. Hero is just so strong. I'm not sure how Mind would be able to counteract that in a best of 3. But I guess we're going to see here in a moment. It should be a very good Terran versus Zerg. As far as sSak versus Bisu, like, we already saw sSak put out some high-quality TVPs. Like, I think he's very good, very technical. And if Bisu tries any of this, like, kind of suicidal plays that we saw in this game against Mind, he might have a hard time against sSak as well.
Yeah, well, only time will tell, Tastosis. We're going to find that out soon. But first, we need to see the results of Mind versus Hero, and we're going to go to that after the short break.
그 전 팀이 몇 스테이지까지 했어요?
그럼 클리어하면 되겠네.
저거들이 머리가 좋잖아. 1358 943.
8943, 8943.
이거네.
왼쪽 안 돼. 빨리 해야 돼.
잠깐만, 아니 근데
빨리 해야 된다니까?
잠깐 해야지.
그 다음 스테이지?
다음 스테이지를 어떻게 할지.
해보면 되지, 해보면.
그래. 역시 좀
그래.
시원하나?
뭐야?
이거 못 봤어?
커세어 맞아. 커세어지.
오케이. 좌. 우자.
상좌하.
처음에 좌.
뭐야.
상좌하. 이거
이거를 가는 거구나.
오케이.
연습 게임이가 이제 5포인트 남은 거 맞죠?
도전 외치자, 도전. 도전 외쳐야지.
아니, 외우자. 그러면 앞에 3개 제가 할까요?
그래. 이렇게 순서대로 가자.
안녕하세요.
나 기억력 짱.
오케이. 우리 팀.
상좌하. 좌자자. 좌.
아니야.
우자야.
우지. 우좌야.
우자인데?
좌라고 했어.
우.
상좌하.
상 맞아?
오. 좌.
맞아?
하.
형력
나 믿어.
오.
너나 믿었지?
못 믿었는데.
잠깐만. 상이야,
상.
맞지? 7번째니까 상.
나 똑똑해.
오른쪽이었어.
나도 오른쪽이었던 것 같은데?
오른쪽이었던 것 같아, 진짜. 나 오른쪽.
이거 눈 떼면 안 돼요. 131.
1311. 1311까지.
5311이 맞아. 5311.
오케이. 5311.
아니, 이렇게
나 믿어.
나누니까 쉽네.
그러게.
나 믿어.
가나.
왼쪽이야. 왼쪽. 나 믿어. 나 해남 영재만 출신. 위에 거다. 나 믿어. 진짜 위에 거야.
이게 뭔데?
뭐야 이거?
LL.
이거 헷갈려 난.
나 본 거 같아. 나는
왜 갑자기 나만 믿어
나
진짜로.
표현도 해도 돼?
해봐.
뭔데?
위.
아래 가자. 위 가자. 성대 믿고.
맞아. 오케이.
오.
역시 나야.
짱찡.
짱구 쫑구 짱찡구.
찡짱궁이었나?
찡짱구였어. 찡짱구.
오른쪽.
짱찡구 아니었어?
찡짱구였지. 일부러 이러네. 찡짱구야. 맞지? 역시 우리가 똑똑한 거야.
이야.
샤사씨까지 봤는데.
이야가 똑같아.
아니, 형 안 봐요? 뒤에만 보면.
방에 끊어가지고.
아니, 방금 뒤에 꼬만 보면 맞추는데.
아니, 시오시냐 쌍시오시냐야. 오른쪽 가자. 나 왼쪽으로 좀 많이 간 거 같아. 오른쪽 갈까?
오케이, 가봐요.
진짜.
왜 그러냐? 아니, 형 근데 뒤에 것만 보면 되는데 왜 뒤에 걸 안 봐?
방에 끊어가지고 그런다니까 진짜.
왜 정신 팔려?
정신 팔리는 게 아니라 뭐야 한눈을 팔.
아니, 뒤에 게 중요해. 나눠서 하면 쉬워.
그러니까 내가 중간.
그래. 내가 무조건 뒤에 거 할게.
뒤에 거 쉬워.
위. 아또 왔다. 씨.
아니야.
아, 제발 봐줘. 제발 봐줘.
빈빈찬.
위.
난 내 건 이거야.
위.
나 이제 알았어.
위.
다 죽었다 이제.
야 뭐야?
빨리 가지.
313 이거다.
왼쪽이야 왼쪽.
뭐야? SS
실실. 뭐야? 오른쪽인 것 같아.
왜 날 봐?
오른쪽 아니었어?
나는 왼쪽.
나도 왼쪽.
나는 왼쪽. 나 왼쪽.
내가 오른쪽이라고 했잖아.
아니 명훈이 집중을 한다.
내가 오른쪽이라고 했잖아.
무상코드 하겠다 이제. 집중해야 돼.
아니야 이거야.
와,
내가 본 건 똑같아. 나 뒤에 거 봤거든.
나
어디야?
오른쪽.
너네 뭐해?
뒤에였어요 뒤에.
오른쪽은 WY였고 왼쪽은 중간에 Y가 하나였어. 그래서 오른쪽.
오른쪽이야?
오른쪽이네.
아 근데 똑똑하시긴 하시네.
오 그래.
아
진짜.
나 잠깐만. 아니 왜 저러는 거야?
몇 번을 날려먹는 거야.
아니 왜 저러는 거야 진짜.
명훈아 너무 원망한다.
믿었는데.
알았어 이거 진짜.
너네 보고 있지?
아니 이 정도 못해요? 아니 이 정도 그냥
하는데.
아무도 보자.
아니 하는데.
모르면 얘기해. 패시 양.
어디야?
아니 근데 이거
달라.
이거
나 믿어.
김명훈.
나 믿어.
아 오케이.
됐다. 와, 뭐야?
색깔을 물어보는 거야?
색깔 물어보는
아니야 얘만 달라.
얘 아니야.
얘는 아니잖아.
물음표였어.
그럼 색깔이야?
노란색.
노란색.
노란색. 아 또 나 의심한다.
여기 전과가
나 한 번
있어가지고.
틀렸는데 나 그렇게 의심한 게 있다고?
노란색 맞아?
이거야지. 안 나?
아 간다.
우와. 네.
야야
샤텐 2K.
알 대소문자.
아니 대문자였어 대문자였어.
내 건 다 똑같아. 샤텐 2K는 다 똑같아.
알투 사태는 대문자였어.
이거 뒤엔 똑같은데 나도?
아 그럼 색깔이야 또?
또 색깔이야?
색깔.
안 보셨어?
빨강은 아니었어.
또 노랑이라고 그러면?
아 흰색이었던 것 같은데 모르겠어.
이 K도 대문자야. K도 대문자야.
K도 대문자. 아 이거 흰색이야 흰색.
거 알죠? 이게 저희가 졌나요? 아베 팀한테?
많이 갔다고? 뭐야?
아무들 아니야?
아니 이렇게 못했는데 많이 갔다고?
잠깐만 3명.
아까는 내가 없었거든.
진짜요?
가져가면 되는 건가요?
와이프. 그러니까 와이프 주면 되겠다.
그래도 되나요?
가져갈게.
오음이 잘 맞았어요. 토스가 어려운 종족이에요. 머리 많이 써야 되는 종족이라서.
전략이 좋았어요 전략이.
윤중이가 없는 게 더 컸나 보다.
윤중이가 트롤을 좋아하니까. 똑똑한 사람들 기대해가지고.
Welcome back, everybody. We're now into the phase of best of threes from here on out. We are, of course, in the last group in the round of 16, and it's time to decide which of the two players in the winner's match is going to move on and get one of the two places remaining in the round of 8. sSak and Bisu, honestly, both had pretty bad performances here. They're great players. They could, one of them at least, could still move on. But I'm very curious to see how this match looks. Hero looks good like he's always been. Hero basically always looks S-class, always looks pretty much perfect. Whereas Mind, he's definitely brought in, I think, the best iteration of himself we've seen in years. But I want to see how that really compares against somebody like Hero.
Yeah. This is a real big test for him because Hero is really big-brained. Like, he is very smart. He sets up amazing tactics and plays. He knows what he's supposed to do at all moments. But Mind is like, again, his nickname back in the day was the Scholar Terran because it's just, you see a lot of brains like reflected in his play. So this is going to be a really interesting one. I honestly don't know which way it's going to go, but I do favor Hero. So on the left-hand side, we have Mind. And on the right-hand side, we have Hero. We're going to be playing this first game on New Heartbreak Ridge. Definitely a map with a lot of technical openers for Terran. I think Mind has a very good balance of technical openers and regular SK Terran. So, he's going to go for an 8-Rex.
Yeah, this is cool. That's a very early SCV coming out, so this 8-Rax is going to be very close. I guess you put it up just like to the right of the main, maybe, so you can float it back if you need to. Is that correct, Artosis?
I think
there's two SCVs coming out.
Yeah, with 2 SCVs, it's a BBS. If there's only one going way out, then that means that you're going factory with it. So this will just be straight up a BBS, and he's making it so close to Hero's base. If Hero goes for hatchery first, oh my god, if he does not scout this, let's see. Oh my god, Tasteless. Dude. Oh, man. And he sees the second SCV come up. Dude, okay, well. So Hero's going to start out with a 1-0 advantage. That's, BBS loses against every single pool first.
Yeah.
Like, it is vastly outplayed by every single pool first. So this is like worst case scenario. Look at this. He's bringing more drones. Mind, yeah. See? There's literally no point.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, I don't know what else to say. We don't see that very often in modern games. I do think that is a little bit of a tell of where Mind feels like he's at against Hero. That on the 2-player map, 2-spawn map, he immediately goes for double racks. And I think Hero's sensing he probably was, if we had all of his RPG stats lined up and compared them to the RPG stats of Mind, Hero's ahead. Hero decides to take a small sacrifice in sending the drone out, looking around and going, you're not just super cheese all in me, are you? And then he sees he is. Okay, got it. Well, now you lose.
Yeah. I think if we were going to use the RPG stats, Hero is basically all 9s and 10s. Truly, he's been one of the best Zergs in the world for the last 10 seasons at least.
Artosis,
and then Mind,
he's like a warrior class that has all the magic spells as well, and all his mana is buffed out. Okay, it's like that.
Whereas Mind is more of I don't know, from Final Fantasy 1, the Black Mage or something, or maybe the Red Mage, where it's he's pretty good at everything and he's very useful and smart, but it doesn't have the brute force maybe of a player like Hero.
He's the monk from Final Fantasy 1. It's only good at the very start of the game.
You mean the guy that punches?
Oh, the fighter? Is that what it's called? Gosh.
There's the fighter is the guy with the sword and no magic, and then
Isn't that the warrior?
The thing that looks like him. Yeah, that's the warrior, and then they have the black belt who becomes the master.
Belt. That's what I meant.
That's the one that punches. That one's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, that just did not pan out for Mind. I think we're actually going into retro right now. Not that there was much more to say about that game, but we're going into game 2, guys. Let's do it. Hero vs. Mind continues on.
All right, we have Mind in the bottom right of retro here. And in the top right, we have Hero. I'm just thinking about the differences of cheeses in StarCraft 1, right? So for instance, when Hero scouts this at the pro level, right? He scouts the BBS, you just leave the game. Okay? So but for instance in Terran versus Protoss, if I send my SCV out and see 2 gateways go down there, I'm like, "Oh shit." Right? It's oh god, okay, this is going to be hard. And then for instance, if you get in and you scout a 9 pool, you're like, okay, I got to bring all my SCVs to my ramp. But when Terrans get scouted, man, it's just get out of the game.
Yeah, the fact that you can just have your worker killed, it's brutal. Get a lot of foreigners here in the audience. It's so cool. See everybody traveling out here and watching these games, and I mean, don't forget, guys, obviously we do these all recorded, but you are always welcome to come down to the studio. They have markers and those little pieces of paper, little, what do we call that? Those little posters you can write on, and, hold up messages. They'll put you on camera. And, going and seeing StarCraft live, I mean, that is truly one of the quintessential Korean experiences.
Yeah, it's really a blast. The energy in the studio is amazing. It's like addictive in a way. Certainly missing that right now. But you know what, Tastosis? You have so much energy every time Bisu plays that it's fine. You fill in for them.
Until his recall stopped working, and I'm like, yeah, you can't do that. That's how I lose my games too. I knew it.
Sorry that you don't get the free win there. All right. Hopefully you do a better macro game against sSak coming up.
Yeah, I'm like, well, looks like my ladder games aren't going to get any better, everybody watching.
Yeah. Now, Mind is just doing a wall-in. This is becoming, like, really normal to do these, like, partial wall-ins on a lot of spots on a lot of maps because it's been just the way everything is shaped nowadays. The naturals are oftentimes much more wide open, so something like this makes it so you don't have to make a bunker, right? That's
right,
and that's huge. That's huge if you don't need to make that bunker and you just kind of are safe against Zerglings early on.
Honestly, if Terran could just never make a bunker, they would never make a bunker because the extra 100 minerals could go somewhere else. But obviously, the bunker is there to help Terran because they're so brittle that if they didn't have the ability to make a bunker, there just wouldn't be much they could do unless they tried to twisty tie all their buildings together and plug it up with SCVs and Marines. But yeah, I mean, to what you were saying, Tastosis, yeah, this is a nice opening in that it allows Terran to stretch its legs a little bit and get into attacking a little bit quicker.
Yeah, that's like a big thing with Terrans, like how you differentiate yourself oftentimes is like get your bunker, your turrets, and siege mode as late as you can in every matchup. Like that's a huge thing about doing well with Terran. If you get them too late, you die, but if you get them too early, you're behind. So it's like, okay, let's optimize towards that. Now, looking at the build that Mind is doing, he's doing a very fast +1 attack build, and he's going up against 2 hatcheries. So very likely, Mind will go into 4 barracks +1. He'll be trying to pressure out on the map to keep those Mulisks out of his base, and hopefully taking some good trades. For Hero, like, it's going to take him a few minutes to figure out what this build is, but generally, it's going to make you into, like, a fighting Zerg, right? Like he might need to play this like we see Sulky oftentimes play, where you're making a lot of Lings, a lot of Mutas, and you just have to kill that army.
Yeah. 4 Marines are going to come out here for a little bit of pressure. Well, I guess barely any, actually. Anything you can do to try to force them to make extra Zerglings or make force a sunk or anything like that is going to be worthwhile. It's important to remember, though, that Marines, once Zergling speed is done, they can't get away at all. That being said, he doesn't know if Zergling speed's about to finish or not, but Terran have to be very careful because whatever unit is slower, effectively, it can never really retreat safely. Like, you'll see this with the tanks versus a Dragoon, where it's a little bit closer than that, but the truth is the Dragoon is just faster than the tank, so if Dragoons chase tanks and there's nothing to kind of cover them, like mines or other units to fire, they always die. It's like that, but 10 times more with Zerglings versus Marines.
For sure. But, he knows his timings. Against 2-hatch play, Zergling speed finishes at 4 minutes and 20 seconds. So, he was out there a little bit earlier. Yeah, I know. It's the greatest number. It's super easy to remember, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Sorry, go ahead.
And as soon as that 420 rolls around, the Zerglings blaze it, man, right towards your Marines. So you got to get behind the wall or have a critical mass.
Looks like the Lings are once again going to poke in. He does have 1 Ling he can run around, maybe try to scout the main. I love this. And it actually does get in. It looked like for a second it might get hooked on the corner of the depot, but he's going to get in. He sees 4 barracks total, 3 making now in the main as Mind has been exposed.
This is really good for Hero to scout this. And Mind gets a fantastic scan off. He sees the hatchery finishing. He sees the spire finishing, so he knows the time of everything. So they both have 100% knowledge about each other right now. They both know exactly this position. Everyone that is a Terran and Zerg player has played this position a ton of times. So it'll be interesting to see where they both want to go from here. Like, Hero has that 3rd hatch in the main base, so he's pretty darn safe. He can produce a lot of units. And, you know, I think that's what he's going to have to do. Mind has to make sure he blocks the harassment and really hits those critical masses of Marines and medics so that he can push out and you know, pressure, maybe get some damage done.
More mutas are going to be coming down here into the main. It looks like Mind may be trying to push out right now. We're going to see if those mutas can actually come in here and get any damage. I didn't see how many turrets were actually here in the main. I see 3 total, and there's not really anywhere these mutas can stay without taking damage. So already 1 turret takes out 1 muta, dropping the count from 7 to 6.
And with the bio moving out, the mutas do have to come around and kind of see what's going on, maybe whittle that down or stop those reinforcements. You can see this is like a very normal thing that Hero does, where he flies in between the bases of Terran and the army, because he's trying to stop reinforcements here as well. But Mind is doing a great job with his control. Like, he's pulling the Marines back into turret range. He brings back his main army, and he should reinforce right now.
The mutas are going to have to pull back. Factory nearing completion as the second gas is on the way. More and more mutas are going to be coming out here. Artosis, from Hero's perspective, is it likely he's just going to be getting +1 attack here, or is it possible we may see armor like we saw before?
Yeah, I actually would. I'm wondering which one he's going to go for, because I think he's a really smart Zerg, and he got the Zergling in. I think when you get the Zergling in and see this build, you should get +1 armor. But whatever Hero does will go with his plan, right? Like, he definitely knows this better than me.
Yeah, whatever Hero does is the right answer.
Yeah. Like, he may, like, the +1 again is generally going to be better against like 3 racks plays, diving in, you know, harassing. Whereas that +1 armor can help give the sustain. And just with the amount of lings I see him making, I bet you he got +1 armor. It looks like he's getting ready for an engage to try to kill all the Marines and medics.
Ooh. Another stim comes down here and hits those mutas. Mind is very well positioned here. A couple more lings are going to come in. It looks like Hero's going to try to take a fight.
Oh, honestly, not the best engage from Hero there. He takes a lot of damage on his mutas. It doesn't look like he's going to kill all the medics. And his Marines got caught on the side of that terrain to the left. So he actually had 5-6 lings that weren't attacking for most of that. So I think not the best engagement. The game, you know, it's not like the game is over because of that or anything, but I think he was hoping to at least kill all the medics as well.
Yeah, well, taking the medics out would help a lot. I mean, when you have a lot of medics, it's kind of surprising how much sustain you actually get in moments like that. Now he's going to come in on top of these turrets, and the SCVs cannot get... Oh my god, okay, I was going to say for a second, can they actually save that? He's going to be able to take out all the turrets up here at the top. This is going to force him to be remade. The Marines, of course, have to stim, come back in. It allows an opportunity as they move in a single file-ish way for these mutas to snipe down a few more Marines and then back out right away.
So we just saw as well, the mutas did get that +1 attack, which means that he's going to have to play a little bit more counterattack based here, and we just saw that. He did force the Marines back into that main base. In the meantime, Hero does have the top left base as well. So I'm interested to see how quickly he gets his lurkers from here, because he is going to have to get into those lurkers, right? Science vessels are already being made, so the shelf life on these Mutalisks being effective, you know, it's being reduced right now. Like, as soon as Irradiate is ready, Mind will dominate the mutas.
Mind is going to start to inch out again. He's been very good with his Marine control so far. +1 attack has been done for a little while now. And, you know, this third base for Zerg, it's been up for a little bit. I don't see any opportunities for Mind to go all the way across the map just yet, as he's been pretty much stuffed back into this location. But we don't have a den. Or no, we do. I'm sorry. And we have a hive coming here. So he's probably getting the lurker upgrade now. He will be able to block the ramp for that. And yeah, I mean, this has just been an interesting game overall here. We're going to see if the push can actually come out eventually here and start to hit a location or pressure Hero a little bit.
Well, right now, kind of flying around with this whole group of Mutalisks. Irradiate should be just about ready, so he's got to be a little bit more careful with those. He does have a good sunken line here. Definitely needs to get some lurkers on top of the ramp of the top left. Yeah, there's that first Irradiate. Ooh, does a pretty good job. Put some damage onto those mutas at least.
Yeah, it's always unfortunate when you get the lowest HP muta, just because if the Zerg happens to struggle to separate the irradiated Mutalisk, at least you're going to get some more damage out of that, but a kill is still a kill.
Yeah, forces that out for the time being. More Marines coming out onto the map. Obviously, that natural doesn't look breakable. He's got 4 Sunkens. He's going to have Lurkers as well. It looks like he's morphing a few Lurkers over at the top left. So it seems like Hero has stalled Mind out enough here that he is going to go ahead and have all the defense he needs. Oh my god! 3 Overlords in the front? Oh, that's painful.
Yeah, that's going to supply block Hero. It won't stop him from, the Lurkers hatching over here. But you got to wonder, if he could get 3 Irradiates off on the 3 Lurkers during the supply block, maybe there's an opportunity to come in that way. Oh, that's a misclick. He irradiated a Zergling. That's literally never the play.
Yeah, that is a big mistake. We've seen a lot of failed Irradiates today already. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, you wanted a Lurker or a Muta there. So he's clicking around very quickly and makes that kind of big error. And you can see the Muta's still being useful because the 2 Irradiates he's cast have been weak.
Yeah, I mean, we've still got, with 10 Mutas flying around over here, dealing a lot of damage. The Lings, again, coming out a little single file-ish here. These Mutas so low, and he's able to fend off both groups of units.
Right,
kind of surprised with how many Overlords are sticking out here. There was another one that was picked off back there, Tastosis.
Yeah, a little bit sloppy there from Hero, no doubt. Mind continues to macro up, though, right? Like, he's getting his 3rd base on time. It's going to be, well, I guess all the bases here really are gas expansions, except that middle set of mineral patches. But yeah, that's going to he can utilize that for a 3rd starport if he wants, or if he wants to get into some factory units, that's fine too. So, like, Mind is still growing well, right? Like, his attacks haven't really worked. His Irradiates haven't been the best. But Hero's only on 3 gas, and Mind has a lot of vessels. He's lost only 1 vessel so far this game.
Nice Irradiate. These Lurkers are stacked in 3s here. There's going to be another one to swap in with this next. And I don't think there's any way he can get up here in time. I mean, it's just, there's not enough vessels in the game. It is kind of ingenious that you can stack Lurkers like that, so that way...
Yeah.
And by the way, I think this is a valuable thing to have at RTS, is the fact that you do have to click, so you can try to cover things up with structures. I feel like a lot of game designers would be like, no, this is bad. But it's like, bad players aren't going to use this, and it's only exciting for good players to try out,
Yeah, well, I mean, I would argue that everyone I play is bad, and they use it. But no, if you couldn't stack them here, then when 4 vessels fly up, you irradiate 4 Lurkers. When they're stacked, you can only irradiate 1 at a time if they're, if they're correctly stacked on top of each other. So it really slows Terran down, but there is counterplay. You saw in one of the other groups the Defense Matrix Firebats. If he had 2 Firebats here with Defense Matrix, he would break through very quickly.
Yeah, 2 is still too many. The ramp, of course, acts like a bottleneck, and the way the Lurker Spike does damage, anything that's going to be touched in that line that it shoots out of is going to be killed, especially Marines.
Right now, Mind is sneaking and expand to the bottom left. He has 3 drop ships, but there is really good anti-drop. I see a ton of Scourge on the map right now. Lots of units just sitting around in these bases. This is going to be a really defining moment here of game number 2. He needs these drops to actually get off. Like, he needs them to unload, basically. That's the main thing. If he can unload all 3 dropships, then you can micro that group of units and gain some value. But, like, if they just get picked off by Scourge, you're in a ton of trouble.
Okay, here comes that drop now. This is going to be in the blind spot. Well, it was. I guess he's just going to fly right in there. I feel like this may be questionable. Okay, I don't know why he did that there. I think it would have been much better. I guess there's actually an Overlord just to the left underneath the mini-map when that drop was coming in that we couldn't see. Either way, the drop gets off. He kills off all of the drones. Oh, my God.
Yeah. That was a great drop. I was actually questioning it as well, the way that he dropped it. I would have dropped it on the side, but that ended up working so much better. Look at how many vessels he has right now. 7 vessels throwing down massive irradiates. That is absolutely huge. I think he's going to break that 3rd base, Tasteless.
He very well may, Artosis, especially with the Nidus being picked off. All he has to do is wait for these Lurkers to die out, and die out they do, and he could spill back up here. I think that's a Nidus being made now, but I think the Marines can actually get over there and kill these Lurkers off just in time to take that Nidus out too.
Not too much of a problem, but we have some Mutas and Lings coming up. Lings out of those hatches. He does have 3 hatches here. Wow, the production going to be just enough to go ahead and knock out that army. So he saves that top left, but he did lose all those drones. Mind has an advantage without a doubt. Oh, he is catching a lot of vessels, though. This was 7 vessels, and it might go down as low as 2.
Another pair of dropships are coming out. It's great to get those vessels, but is there enough to defend those 2 dropships coming in? I think there is. We see a lot of defilers as well. I'm sorry, a lot of Zerglings along with the defiler there to try to take that on. This has become action-packed, and it's easy to let this game get carried away as far as what's happening to the Zerg, but if we look at what Terran has, the 4th base is finishing. He's getting SCVs transferred over to the bottom left. And if that's able to mine for a little bit, he's going to be ahead economically against the Zerg here.
Yeah, he definitely looks good in that regard. Like, Mind is winning this game. It sucks that he lost, like, all those vessels and everything, but he gets up here. He once again snipes that Nidus before it can finish. Oh, my God, that fire bat under the Dark Storm. Oh, that fire bat's killed so much.
7
it's crazy.
kills. I having to pause before I talk. I'm like, wait, is it still alive? Is it still here?
He is dealing so much damage, Tasteless. He's going into battle cruisers from here as well. This is such a well-played Terran vs. Zerg from Mind. Don't forget, like, the beginning, it didn't go, like, super in his favor or anything, right? His first few irradiates weren't great. He didn't get as much pressure as I think he wanted. It seemed like Hero's Harass was, like, okay at least. But Mind has just macroed himself and rotated around into a great position and wins game number 2.
That's crazy. I can't believe that we're actually watching Mind play like this. I mean, I always associated Mind with, the glory days of pre-StarCraft 2 and how strong he was. But right now, he looks as good as he's ever been. And he just did that versus Hero. You almost never see Hero lose a game like that, where he's able to get to Defiler tech. He's been winning fights in the middle of the map for a good amount of the game. That was really incredible.
Very, very well done for Mind. I love it. That was such a great game. And it was like really relatable too, because a lot of things didn't work, right? Like, he didn't have some sort of great opening that put him ahead, and then he just leaned on Zerg till he fell over. He fought tooth and nail and got his damage in. So fantastically done. Awesome game number 2. And we're going to go to that decider match, Tasteless. Maybe we can avoid a 5th Zerg in the round of 8.
Who knows, man? I mean, if Mind can play like that, I guess just as long as he doesn't put 2 barracks in the middle of the map again, maybe we've got ourselves a Terran moving on. 2 unlikely Terrans, by the way. Hero appears to be using his 1 allowed break. And once he's back from that, we're going to go into this game.
Yeah, I think he wants to refresh himself a little bit, and
Sure.
I'm not too surprised about that. It looks like Mind maybe going to take that little break as well. That was kind of an intense game, and it really did feel like Mind just kind of outdid Hero. And Hero wasn't playing poorly. It really didn't look that way. Like, he did have that one engage where the Lings kind of got stuck on the side and it didn't go that well for him. That was the only thing I saw where I'm like, ooh, that's a bit of a mistake. But it felt like he played everywhere else quite well. It's just Mind had all the moves. He had all the tactics, like the rotation of his army, the constant irradiate pressure, the dropship timing. Everything was really on point, and Hero had a hard time with that, which I think is not something that happens to Hero very often.
Certainly not in my memory of all the games I've casted of him. Honestly, I'm blown away that Mind is basically winning off pure mechanics against somebody like Hero. And I think Hero also had a very good early game. It wasn't like Hero, I don't know, miscontrolled all of his lurkers and lost him early, or had his 3rd base shut down over and over. The reality is that Hero was doing a decent job defending his 3rd base for most of that game, but Mind, he was mechanically everywhere. He was getting all the irradiates off he needed. He was controlling the infantry very well. He was also expanding, and actually now, at the very end of that game, staying ahead of the Zerg. He even made sure to have Firebats go down to the bottom left. The easiest way to lose that 4th base is to have Zerglings counterattack it like that.
Yeah, that was really good. Like, to send the units with the command centers to get those bunkers up, it takes time, because you have to, send everything down, make sure the SCVs don't bump into each other, make the bunker, fill it with the units that you sent down there as well. It can be annoying, but when you get those up and the little Zergling harassments can't do anything, you get that huge influx of economy. And the fact that he was able to start battlecruiser production, keep everything else going, even when things were going wrong, like he lost 5 vessels from that attack in the top left, it was fine. He had enough to refill it. So a fantastic Terran vs. Zerg out of him. Like, that's the best straight macro TVZ I've seen him play.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, Tastosis, but I really wasn't expecting to see a lot of victories with just straight-up macro play. I kind of thought he was going to have, I don't know, more fancy builds or, I don't know, even gimmicky stuff, but I couldn't have been more wrong. I mean, everything he's doing right now is just solid fundamentals, good execution, being patient, waiting for his moment to shine in the game, and then winning.
Well, we'll see what he does on map number 3, because obviously game 1, he tried the BBS and just got completely found out, completely destroyed in a matter of seconds. I'm hoping that we get another good, solid macro game. I can't remember what the third map was, though, so I guess we'll wait on that for a moment while these guys...
I can't remember either, actually.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see in a second. AfreecaTV doesn't let these breaks run for that long anyways, so we should be going into the next game in a sec, but... You know, if Mind wins, I mean, let's not forget what already happened here in Group C and how insane those results were. Maybe we're going to get something similar coming out of Group D.
Yeah, it is a real possibility. I would love to see Mind advance in first place, honestly. We do need another Terran in that next round. Now, the next map is going to be Nemesis. So, definitely a very different map. We're ready to go. Let's get into game number 3.
Just getting started.
So in the bottom left, we have Mind. And in the bottom right, we have Hero. I feel like this map actually has a fair amount of ways you can play it. I remember when it first came out, it kind of struck me that maybe you should play a technical opening here, like a 1-1-1 or something, so that you have more potential for, you know, hitting the hidden third bases on the sides, that type of thing, because, you know, Zerg can take that so simply and hold it with the mutas. But if you actually play a game like what Mind just played, that can be really dangerous here as well, because those side bases just don't have that much gas. So you don't actually have to deny the fourth base for as long as you would normally, right? Like you're just you're going to run out of gas at your third more quickly. So consistent irradiate pressure and some drops here and there can do the job.
Let's also not forget that some maps that don't lend themselves for comfortable late games or easy resources that you can acquire for later games do occasionally tempt players to not play into late games, right? Or do something aggressive or do something crazy to try to end it. These guys are both close to each other. Heroes Overlord is going to go and spot Mind in a little bit, probably in about the 2-minute marker. He's going to see what's going on over there. And there is this weird area in between the two bases at the bottom, right? Where you can get in there. If you destroy the eggs, you can close it off as well. But it would be interesting to see if we have some strategies that are tailored to the specific locations these guys are in.
Yeah, I wonder if... the thing is, if your opponent is trying to do something like tailored to these positions, like let's say you're trying to do some sort of push through the bottom, there is always that kind of quick fix of killing the geyser. And that'll like close it off, and maybe that allows your opponent to, take that base or something because you close it off on your side. But it will act as like a blocking function to any specialized attack through there as well.
Sure. So for Mind right now, we're getting almost to 400 minerals, so we have to imagine a command center is going to be the next building that's going to come down in what's going to be a pretty quick expand game.
Yeah, a really good opener. Like, that is a Zergling tight wall, and you're going to be able to easily take your command center and not need to make a bunker. You can skimp on Marines if you want. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if he does a build like the previous game and goes for +1. But he could do something like a 2-Rax opener as well if you wanted to put pressure on a bit earlier.
Can you go with the Valkyrie build from this opener?
Yeah, you can. There's actually multiple Valkyrie builds. So there's the one where you go gas first. And the thing is, if you're playing against 2 hatchery and you go command center then gas, the Valkyrie will not be ready for the mutas. So there's a secondary one you can do where you go for a standard like 2-Rax Academy. You add a 3rd barracks, and it looks completely normal, and then you go to Starport Valkyrie, and you just go heavy Valkyrie for a couple minutes and go into mech from there. So that is a possibility. Like, that is one that was super, super powerful on the ladder right around the time that the ASL qualifiers happened.
We've got that 4-Marine push coming out here. We're going to see if he can bait out any more Zerglings. Again, Mind has been very cautious, like he was in Game 2, to not overextend. The Academy's on the way, and the second barracks is almost finished. Layer started, and we don't see Lings with speed just yet, but we know it will be ready at 420. Is that right, Artosis?
That's correct, Tastosis. If he's going to get speed, it finishes right at 420. See, now that I've told you that, you'll never forget it, too. Someday you're going to find yourself playing a TVZ, Tastosis. You're like, ooh,
yeah.
do they have speedlings yet? And you're like, look at the clock. You're like, it's only 418. I'm safe.
Wouldn't that be true as well for PVZ? I mean, would it be any different?
For PVZ, yeah. Well, it just matters on gas timings and stuff, right? Like 2 hatchery, that's when they get the gas for that. And there's cheese builds where you can get it sooner, obviously. But like if you scout the layer, which all scout timings are the same for Terran, like you always get in there right before layer starts because you need to see it start so that you can time out everything else.
Interesting. Well, Terran's going to stay back here, continuing to accumulate Marines. The second gas is going to be finished. We're going to have some drones transferred in there in a second. And we're going to be going into that Mutatech pretty quickly here.
Yeah, it's a pretty normal build overall from Hero. It does look like Mind is likely going to 3 barracks. That doesn't mean he's necessarily going for that Valkyrie build that I mentioned before. Well, we'll see if he adds a 3rd barracks. I imagine he will. It's pretty rare to go for 2 barracks into Engineering Bay. It's just like not... it doesn't give you enough Marines to actually do anything with. 3, you can actually pressure a little bit out in the map. Now, he is moving forward. He's forced to double sunken. This is the 3rd hatch in main base for Hero. But yeah, Mind can't get anything done here. He's just checking, making sure that Hero didn't play too greedily. And now it's time to go home with that Bioforce.
Yeah, the dance we've seen so many times before. At least you drop 2 drones for them. The factory starts over here, and momentarily we're going to have to start to see the turrets ring around the Terran base. We should note that there is this high ground area above the minerals, which is pretty annoying for the Terran because mutas can snipe out from above that and take out SCVs, and you don't have immediate vision of that. Terran never like to have expansions where the minerals point out, especially towards the Zerg, like the way this one does, at the natural base, and especially when there's a high ground area because it's just so hard to defend workers.
Yeah, and the Muta's flying over now. Like, they are getting there just a little bit later than normal. Like a higher econ build here from Hero rather than rushing into those Mutas at the first possible second. And he has that very crucial amount of 7, so he can one-shot SCVs. And he will continue this harassment, but one thing I got to mention is Mine did stay on 2 barracks, so that's why he has, like, a ton of turrets. And he's going very quickly into Starport, so I think he's going to go Valkyrie.
Makes sense. And he's timed those scans out pretty nicely to basically drive those mutas away. Zerg with another huge amount of drones just pumped out to really up his position economically. The 3rd base now being taken over here in the far top right. It's a very long distance to travel there for Mind to get all the way up there, but let's not forget how the last game looked, where Mind really did have, I think, not a very easy game early on, got into mid-game, and then eventually just overpowered Hero. So maybe we see the same thing we saw in the last game.
Well, it seems to me this game, Mind might be doing like a timing push. I saw an add-on on the factory already, and there are builds where you can go Valkyrie Siege Tank with your bio and try to push through their Sunkens, right? Like the Valkyries are going to push the Mutas back, and then you just have enough Marines and Medics that they can't really touch your Siege Tanks. So I think that's what we're going to see, in which case, like, Hero needs to get up to Defiler really quickly. Or he needs to pick off a Valkyrie. That can help as well.
We see the Muta's going to come in here again. This whole area, this whole high ground that fits everything in the bottom center of the map, that can all be used with Mutas to snipe from. So you got to be very careful to kind of have a wider arc around that so you don't get pelted over and over and over. We've got the tank out. We've seen in games in the past, even in this season of ASL, where Zergs will try to come in between the reinforcements. It's one of the reasons why you'll see a lot of Marines pooled in with the tank to try to escort the tank over to the next location.
Yeah, and you see here as he's flying in, he sees the Valkyries and everything. And that Valkyrie, by the way, we were talking about this in the previous group, about the micro, how mine missed it. You saw him go towards the mutas, then go back. Not perfect Valkyrie micro, so he hasn't gotten that much damage done with this Valkyrie yet.
Yeah, the Valkyrie's at about half health over here. The third base, the extractor started, so the Zerg is not, reaping the fruits of that third base just yet, but soon enough that will be kicking in. That'll allow him to keep making mutas and lurkers, and eventually we're going to get to that Defiler tech. Keep in mind the Hive just finished, which means the Defiler mount is going to start now if it hasn't already, which means this push here from the Terran has to start. Now these tanks are kind of hanging in the back. The Zerg decides to go for a counterattack, but there's a bunker in position over here, and that's going to chase Hero back out.
A really smart move, though. He's trying to catch Mind and make Mind turn around with his army. This time, that's not going to work. It looks like the two lurkers get... I don't know why he sieged there.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, I guess he was assuming an insta-burrow or something, but yeah, that wasn't the case. Now, he is moving up for this push. Let's see if he can break through in time to get damage before Hero has the tech he needs.
Yeah, and I don't see these Overlords very well protected here. The Lurkers and the Mutas may try to go in here for another counterattack. I wouldn't mind seeing a second bunker over there in that natural, but instead he's going to stay behind here and try to be ready to pounce from that angle here too. Are there actually Lurkers broed over here, Tastosis? I'm not clear. I don't see any, which means that I think the infantry could stim and try to run in. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I think he's just waiting for the final moment here. He's coming up with a little flank, and here we go. He knows that Hero has to come in. The Scourge come in and clear the Valkyries, but another one comes from the other side. The Mutas look like they're going to fall. Scans continue to go down, and Mine breaks everything.
Mind is insane. He's going to take this game, Tastosis. All the Mutas are gone. I see one Lurker burrowing. More reinforcements on the way across the map. This
if
is
he
unreal.
had Consume, he could maybe end up holding, but it doesn't look like it's going to be the case here. Another scan goes down. He can target those Lurkers, and as long as he kills that Lurker off, I think he's good, Tasteless. He's done so much damage to poor Hero. The first Defilers are coming out, but it's just not ready.
Another scan comes down. I don't see that Consume. Oh, I see the Consume coming now. He's going to... Oh, he actually gets a Dark Swarm down there. Keep in mind, there was a Valkyrie taking out more of the Overlord. So there's actually a supply blocked Zerg right now, and that's going to... that gridlock will only continue as he can basically patrol these Valkyries over this position.
Dude, that's really bad. He has nothing that shoots up. 48 of 36 supply. He is supply blocked, and the Valkyries are still in his base. That's a bad situation for Zerg right there.
Yeah, and, the Zerg might be able to keep Terran off of that spot over there, but Terran can always run. So when a Dark Swarm comes down, fine, just leave it. You just maneuver through it. I don't know about moving the tanks through it like that. Well, I guess this tank might live anyways.
And you know what? A lot of these eggs have to be Scourged because he has to deal with the Valkyries or he's going to be supply blocked forever, which means he's not going to have the units he needs here. He needs to consume some units and throw down Darkstorm. Okay, he does get another one on top of that Lurker. And he's taking out that Nidus. Wow, that was actually a really cool dive, taking out the Nidus to make sure that he can't reinforce from the other base.
This is a wild position here. Another Dark Swarm comes down. We gotta, for here, Mind Zone's sake, he's got to be careful not to overextend. He may start feeding in a little bit too much here. Wouldn't mind seeing those Valkyries go up to the top right. No doubt there are Overlords waiting there that could be killed off.
Now some Scourge are waiting for these Valks. Oh man, the Scourge actually bug out a little bit there, and he should have killed 2 instead of 1. So the Valkyries will be able to get some more Overlord kills. Doesn't quite supply block him yet, but it looks like it's coming. And look at this double dropship follow-up. Oh man, Mind just applying so much pressure.
Yeah, Mind is playing a really brilliant game. I think Hero's doing a great job hanging on. Keep in mind that you can't make Lurkers when you're supply blocked. And so this is going to stem down here. Well, you also couldn't make Lurkers if you killed a Den, but I guess he's going to go for the infantry or the drones here first.
And look at that. He scans. He didn't even need it. GG, and Mind ends up winning Group D and advancing. We now have 2 Terrans in that round of 8.
This is just insane, Artosis. I can't believe it. Mind is the first to get out of this group. I mean, I know you were saying, and a lot of other people were saying, that he was in very good shape. He's looking very good. To be totally frank with you and everybody watching, I didn't believe that meant round of 8 quality, and certainly not getting out of Group D first.
Oh, he honestly looks so strong right now. It's crazy. Like, those were just beautifully played games. He exactly broke Hero in this last game. Like, game 2 was an amazing macro game, but like that timing push, and you were wondering if he should attack into the Sunks. I think Hero holds it a lot cleaner if he attacks into the Sunks there. But he stood his ground, he waited, he flanked, and he just like exactly killed everything. Just beautiful play out of Mind.
Yeah, it was a great moment. He didn't panic. He didn't pull the trigger too soon. Very impressive showing there from Mind. We're going to have an interview with him now and see how he's feeling. He has dunked on the doubters. He's going to be going to the round of 8. And I'm looking forward to seeing who he's going to be picked against here. This is going to be fun.
ASL 시즌 15 16강 D조 경기 함께하고 계십니다. 돌아온 독사가 바로 8강에 진출합니다. 오늘의 첫 번째 8강 진출자 박성균 선수와 함께하겠습니다. 축하드립니다.
네, 감사합니다.
박성균 선수의 복귀 시즌이 맞나 싶을 정도로 정말 한층 더 날카롭고 한층 더 독해진 모습으로 돌아온 것 같습니다. 오늘 경기에서 상대했던 선수들 김태경 선수와 조일장 선수 모두 ASL 내에서는 정말 8강 공무원이라고 좀 불려질 만큼 꾸준한 선수들이었는데 4년 만에 이 선수들을 꺾고 8강에 복귀하셨습니다. 소감이 어떠신가요?
일단 오늘 쉽지 않은 조라고 생각했고 사실 오면서도 생각 너무 많이 하고 뭐 솔직히 자신이 그렇게 많지는 않았어요. 그냥 쉽진 않다 그 생각을 하고 왔는데 오히려 대회 때 뭔가 게임이 더 잘 풀렸던 것 같아요.
실전 이 본 경기의 경험이 사실 공백이 있었기 때문에 이렇게까지 침착하게 풀어나가실 거라는 생각을 아마 많은 분들이 좀 못하셨을 것 같은데 그럼에도 불구하고 오늘 분명히 순간순간 있었던 위기 상황을 정말 침착하게 잘 대응을 해내셨던 것 같습니다. 특히 김태경 선수의 경기에서도 아머리까지 좀 공격을 받으면서 좀 위기의 순간들이 있었잖아요.
네네.
그때 좀 어땠나요?
저는 리콜을 그냥 왼쪽으로 올 줄 알고 왼쪽 생각을 많이 했어요. 근데 항상 태경 형이랑 할 때는 이게 하나가 더 있더라고요. 그래서 왼쪽 보고 있다 오른쪽 오길래 태경이 형 하면서도 따라갔는데 생각보다는 그렇게 뭐 큰 피해는 안 봤던 것 같아요. 잘 막았던 것 같아요.
또 한 번의 위기였다면 사실 조일장 선수와의 첫 번째 세트가 아닐까 싶습니다. 베럭스의 좀 위치를 굉장히 빠르게 좀 조일장 선수가 파악해내면서 박성균 선수도 1세트는 빠르게 끝내고 차라리 2세트에 좀 전념하자라는 생각을 하셨던 것 같아요.
일단 준비는 했는데 막상 하려니까 뭔가 이거 걸릴 것 같더라고요. 왠지 걸릴 것 같아서 근데 준비한 게 없어서 그냥 했어요. 걸릴 것 같긴 한데 했는데 드론이 오더라고요. 드론 오자마자 사실 GG를 칠까 했는데 더 빨리 칠 거 그랬어요. 더 빨리 쳐도 됐는데 안 쳤어요.
두 번째 세트에서도 이 드랍십이 활약할 수 있는 그 타이밍까지 11시를 정말 압박을 잘 해내시면서 시간을 버셨던 것 같아요.
일단 요즘 저거저기 많이 어려웠는데 어제 좀 그래도 연습하면서 감을 잡았어요. 그래서 뭐 생각한 대로 했는데 약간 뭐 제가 좀 예상한 그림대로 상대도 플레이 해줘서 제가 조금 쉽게 이겼던 것 같아요.
세 번째 세트 역시 발키리와 탱크가 준비되는 시점에 맞춰서 주저하지 않고 바로 좀 진출을 하시더라고요.
일단 빌드를 뭐 정하고 온 건 아니고 사실 오늘 거의 다 그냥 즉흥적으로 했어요. 원래 연습하던 플레이 안에서 뭘 할지 하다가 딱 발키리 한번 또 할까 생각해서 했더니 이게 오히려 또 대회니까 이런 게 더 잘 통했던 것 같아요. 오히려.
오늘 조일장 선수와의 이 저그전에서 보여준 박성균 선수의 활약 덕분에 8강이 더 재밌어질 것 같습니다. 박성균 선수는 일단 저그전이 확정이시거든요.
그런가요?
김성대 선수, 김명훈 선수, 김민철 선수를 만날 확률을 두고 있습니다. 어떤 저그가 박성균 선수에게 가장 좀 8강을 경기함에 있어서 수월하실까요?
저는 저그 뭐 다 비슷한 것 같고 이제 성대는 안 만났으면 좋겠어요. 왜냐면 성대랑은 또 이제 연습을 해야 되니까 그냥 안 만나고 다른 적 아무나 그냥 만나면 상관없을 것 같아요.
김민철 선수가 또 테란을 만나고 싶다고 말씀을 하셨거든요. 어떠세요?
민철이요?
네.
민철이가 제가 예전에 그 다른 대회에서 3대0으로 이긴 적 있거든요. 민철이. 그래서 저는 오히려 만나면은 더 좋을 것 같아요.
박성균 선수가 보여주고 있는 자신감이 근거가 있다는 걸 오늘 또 16강 D조 경기를 통해서 팬분들에게도 확실하게 증명해내신 것 같습니다. 응원해주신 팬분들께도 또 한 말씀 부탁드립니다.
일단 팬분들 너무 감사드리고 또 오늘 이렇게 또 별비랑 이렇게 다 같이 또 응원 와줬어요. 그래서 또 감사하고 그리고 또 연습을 많이 도와줬거든요. 그 뭐 병구 형 그리고 선재 뭐 병영이 성대 예훈이 뭐 또 누구 있지? 뭐 그렇게 그런 식으로 많이 도와줬어요. 또 윤철이랑 연습하고 다들 너무 감사하고 또 윤한이 형이 이번에 도와줬거든요.
네.
그 안 도와주는 게 도와주는 거라고 굉장히 큰 도움 됐고 네. 다음 대회도 잘하겠습니다. 네.
네, 다시 한번 8강 진출 축하드리고요. 8강 오전대에서도 멋진 모습 기대하겠습니다. 축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
자, 이렇게 해서 D조의 첫 번째 8강 진출자 박성균 선수와 함께했습니다. 계속해서 이벤트 살펴보시죠.
드디어 카운트다운을 시작합니다.
4, 3, 2, 1.
떴다. 제로 칼로리로 기분까지 가볍게. 밀키스 제로.
그래 걱정 빼고 고민 빼고 망설임 빼고 This is StarLeague. 없어도 되는 건 빼고 실성사이다 제로.
새로운 걸 참해봐 짜릿한 걸 담을수록 더 새로운 날이 보인다. 시작해 짜릿하게 참해봐 시작해 색다르게 참해봐 매일 참해봐 새로운 날을 시작은 제로 짜릿함을 탐해 매일 새로움을 탐해 너도 탐세봐 탐세로.
Welcome back, everyone. ASL continues on, and I just can't believe Mind has actually been the first to escape. You know, we keep talking about this, you know, seasons of upsets, but that is just becoming more and more true as time passes. The only thing that could be crazier than that would be if sSak ended up eliminating Bisu right now in this best of 3.
That would be insane. It does feel like the final spot should go to Hero or Bisu, but sSak has good TVP. I actually think it's his best matchup, in my opinion. He's pretty strong because he does do these high unit builds where he's not, you know, a lot of Terran losses can be like, oh, you took your third too quick and maybe you got busted or something. Those things don't really happen to him as much. He's going to have a pretty solid army throughout the game. And oh my god, Tastosis, we get 76 for game 2!
Hell yes, dude. Hopefully we get a better PVZ than what Snow gave us. Yeah. But to start this out, we're going to Retro. Or sorry, not PVZ. What am I talking about? sSak versus Bisu. PVT starts now. I'm sorry, I was already thinking about Bisu versus Hero, guys. Forgive me.
Yeah.
We're going into this first game for the elimination match. Yeah, let's do it. Tastosis, let me just tell you what I was thinking. You know, we had that old joke about the time-traveling caster Time Bones, and I was just imagining, like, he comes out of a time portal, and they go, he turns to somebody, he goes, what ASL is this? They go, Season 15, and he goes, how many Zergs are in the round of 8? And they go, 5, and he goes, oh god, I'm in the wrong timeline.
Oh, man.
This whole season does feel like we're in the wrong timeline, guys. I'm like, no, this can't be the way the ASL turned out.
Yeah. Like, honestly, if Bisu advances, I'm super happy. I'm super happy.
Same.
I really hope that he does, because it's not perfect racial balance, right? 4-2-2, but 4-2-2 is solid. Now 5-2-1 is like, oh no.
Yeah.
And I do believe, by the way, that we have the round of 8 draw after the final match here tonight. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
That's right.
Yeah, and yeah, just before we really get into the game, guys, do want to thank everyone who has supported us on the Patreon. That is patreon.com/ASL English. Go ahead and sign up if you would like to help ASL stay alive. It's been a great season so far, even though there's a lot of upsets. Well, maybe in a lot of ways that makes a great season, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I'm not complaining that there's so many upsets. I'm just surprised because usually it feels like previous seasons matter in predicting what the current season is going to be like. But yeah, guys, if you could support us on Patreon, it would mean the world to us. Sign up for a year, and you're helping Artosis, me, and the people that help us produce this content. And it's keeping StarCraft 1 and its history alive in the English-speaking world.
That's right. Now, looking at this game, it is a gasless expansion from sSak. You could tell that as soon as he put his barracks out in the front there. That is like almost every time going to be a gasless expand. And Bisu going for a Nexus first. And Bisu is also going to scout sSak first. So this is actually advantaged Bisu because of how quick his scout is. Like, gasless does fine against Nexus first. It's not really that scary to play. But when the probe finds you right away and you're not finding the Nexus right away, like, look, he has to take his gas because a probe's in his base. And he has to build the second depot because a Zealot could be on the way. Whereas with Bisu, when he sees the timing of that gas, he knows he can't be attacked, so he can make probes non-stop and only go one gateway. As opposed to going two and cutting probes and getting Zealots to make sure he can hold. Because Marine Rushes don't stop Nexus first. Like, you need the Vulture in there.
Right. And so Terran is, in fact, just taking a command center. Now, I'm very curious about these builds, and I really don't understand these two builds and how they work against each other, Artosis, so I'm probably going to be asking you a couple questions here. I mean,
sure.
Where does each side want to go, and what do they want to look out for?
Okay, so for Bisu, he wants to tech up quickly here. Just the fact that he scouted that is like, you can make more probes, which is always amazing. Because you know when you go Nexus first, like, if you don't scout Terran right away and figure out what's going on, you just kind of have to go 2-gate and, like, make those Zealots. Here, he can, like, make one Zealot, probably go right into core, and honestly, you would generally from here want to go into, like, Reaver quickly, I think. On sSak's side, sSak is, like, again, a 2-base, very unit-heavy player, so he should be going into a 2-factory. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him go, like, Academy and Armory and, you know, just kind of fill out all of his tech.
Looks like the Zealot's going to come up here. And I think sSak can basically not lose anything. Yeah, he handles that perfectly. But getting a Zealot in the main is very helpful. It's going to help you scout and figure out what exactly is going on here, if there's any surprises. And he will get that one SCV, so not bad.
Now, with this Zealot, the Zealot is actually doing a really great job. Even if he didn't kill that SCV, he sees one factory. So when you see one factory like this, you know, because like this build, like it's a common build, so you know that there should be a second factory if there's going to be a second factory. So here you're thinking, okay, this is either Armory or Starport. It's one or the other. And because you know that, you need even fewer units. you know? Like, you can really tech up. You can just spread your goons out to catch a drop. And you can actually play greedy if it's Armory, right? Like, you could just take a third base.
And it is indeed that Armory back down there. Yeah, I mean, at this point in time, Bisu's got to be so comfortable. You know, he's getting that Dragoon range, he's getting the Robo support bay for the Reaver, but he has not missed a beat right now making probes.
He really has. His probe count, I'm sure, is ridiculous.
Oh my god.
Hey, that's a great scout.
I can't believe
that got up the ramp. I can't believe it. But yeah, he gets to see exactly what's going on. That is an Academy, that is Armory. So sSak is doing like a very greedy build here as well. But, you know, just looking at how it's going, like, it's a better position for Bisu. Bisu really has everything going on that he wants. He can absolutely take a third base right now, which I imagine that he will end up doing. I think that's a probe we see going towards 9 o'clock. And that's like some perfect play, basically. Everything is going fantastically right now for Bisu. But it's not like it's going poorly for sSak, right? He knows that, like, there's a quick robo. He's going to assume that it's Reaver because, like, why would you just go quick Observer against this build? That doesn't make sense at all. Like, there's no way. It's not like Vultures are out on the map. So, yeah, it's a pretty even game with Bisu in the lead, I'd say.
Yeah, I think the Reaver is pretty much the only way to do it. It's predictable, but you can force him to defend. You can force him to make turrets. The Reaver is just great at handling pushes and fights as well. And so he's going to see if maybe he can't pick off a tank or two or something like that. Is it possible for Protoss to go into carriers? We've had a lot of carrier rushes here. I'm thinking specifically about that one that Snow attempted to do that didn't work out. But, you know, that was Snow kind of behind and trying to make something work. Feels like Bisu is sort of safely ahead. By the way, I love this, before you answer that, Tastosis, just the fact that he knows there's probably not a tank covering this area, so you might as well just try to kill the bunker off.
That is annoying, I gotta tell you. And he breaks through more than I thought he would. I'm surprised he dived that hard, though. Like, I mean, he killed a tank and a Goliath in the bunker and the Marines. The bunker and the Marines don't matter. The tank and the Goliath, for that much damage plus 3 goons, I don't know. I'm not a fan of that. I don't think that was needed or anything. You were asking about carrier, and the thing is, with this quick of an armory, I would always be a little bit nervous, especially considering there's a comsat out, because, like, part of going carrier is them missing the timing a little bit. Like, seconds really matter in that, and since sSak has the very quick academy, which is very normal for him, I think it's hard to get away with the carrier build. And we see that, you know, Bisu has speed shuttles. We saw him throw down a Citadel. I think he's just going to go, like, the shuttle-heavy, you know, storm drop type of style here.
Looks like he might try to come in for one more Reaver drop. He's got to be careful. This shuttle's very weak. I do feel like we're seeing Bisu try to pull some Snow moves off here, and we're really starting to realize how good Snow actually is at using Reavers by comparison.
Yeah. Well, Snow, like, he would never lose one that early. Wow! Really good scarab there. Gets 4 SCVs. Another couple go down. So, hey, I mean, that drop was at least a little bit better. But sSak is still pretty much on point for where he wants to be. His third command center is going to be finishing up. He is going to be on 3 bases, like, massing up factories, getting great upgrades. But there's Bisu with that second robo.
Yeah, and the double robo style, it's been growing in popularity. It allows you to make shuttles, make Reavers, and make trades. You know, if you're on one robo, if you trade out the shuttle and the Reaver, you know, you do feel it. You have to stop making observers and start to remake the Reavers and the shuttles. With this style, you can really hammer the Terran, and it forces the Terran to play really safe. There's also the risk that if Terran moves out too soon, you fly inside their main with several shuttles, unload, and just dish out tons of damage.
Yeah, that's always something that's fearful, and you could see that even though he's got, like, range Goliath, sSak is still adding an eBay. He's going to need some turrets. He'll need to lay a few mines in his base. You see he has a tank already in siege mode, so he's, like, kind of prepared, or at least preparing right now for the possibilities of what Bisu looks to be setting up.
We've seen this also before, a Stargate Maiden here and a Corsair used to tank turret shots. We should note that there's actually no... Well, actually, I'm sorry. There are some turrets up. They're a little bit late. We also did see Terrans experiment with Wraith and Cloak, although we don't have Wraiths and Cloak out just yet.
Well, he's going to go ahead and fly over this one turret. I believe that's all there is turret-wise. It looks like his Goliaths have moved as well. So this is actually a pretty darn effective drop to begin with. He's already eliminated that turret, so he has an exit plan. And now Goon's walking around to hit that third command center that was sent over, but there are some tanks there to block it.
Yeah, and one of the ideas that you have at play here is that you can micro the Reaver with the shuttle and your ground units and target down tanks and vultures and just get really good trades. And you basically shimmy the Reaver back over and over and over, and the moment that you're not safe, oh, I thought that was going to connect. You just leave. You can one-shot vultures. You can on nearly one-shot Goliaths or take any Goliath out that's pretty heavily damaged. Also, a lot of builds with this, the upgrade Scarab damage. And of course, depots, a lot of times Terrans chunk those up together, right? And so when you see moments like this, you know that if you can't get anything else, you can at least take out depots and supply block them.
Yeah, that can be really good if you kill 4 depots at once with 2 Reavers. It's pretty deadly for Terran. The Reaver's still flying around. It's actually out of Scarabs, and 4 more shuttles diving into the 3rd base. Bisu is really ripping him apart right now.
Yeah.
The only thing going on for sSak that's good is Bisu's 4th base is a little bit slow, it feels.
Yeah, well, this is very APM intensive, what we see him trying to do here. And he's just going to scoot away again. This is so sick. He's actually just chasing him with these Zealots. He might even be able to run in here and actually end the game. This is so much damage.
Yeah, sSak is pretty dead at this point, man. If he could have held on to the 3rd base, you still have a bit more potential. Look at this, the Reaver dropping out, killing another siege tank. He does D-Matrix, so, I mean, that's a solid D-Matrix. Shoot the SCVs, though. He's shooting the tank as D-Matrix. I just want to see him kill the SCVs.
Yeah, I was thinking the SCVs, man. Everything's right there. It's so juicy. It's so tempting. Let's see if he's got more shuttles back at home. He does. And the idea is that if Terran, tries to middle a little bit too much, like they get 4 factories and take a base and kind of cut turrets, you just slam them with these shuttles in all these different locations.
You know what's funny is sSak is actually playing a little bit counter to his regular style of the slower 3rd. He actually this is the quickest 3rd I might have ever seen him take, and he instantly gets punished for it. So a little bit sad, right? Because a lot of his opener is what I was expecting, the quick academy, getting Goliath range, things like that, but certainly the speed of that 3rd base, he was unable to hold it. He's taking damage all over the place, and yeah, it's got to be a little bit frustrating because, normally I feel like he generally gets 5 factories before he lands his 3rd base, and then you have enough units that these types of attacks are a lot easier to parry.
It's cool to see Bisu play in this really modern style. Definitely he's not, I think, as comfortable as a lot of other players are at doing this. I kind of get why he did the 3-base Arbiter, when he was playing against Mind here, but I do think we see why this style is certainly more popular than just kind of going for Arbiters and trying to be good with Stasis and Recall. But now I think that Bisu has overextended and sSak can slip right back into having 3 bases.
Yeah, sSak should be able to secure this. He has the 5 factories and everything. But, dude, that's 6, 7 speed shuttles? Well, now we're actually getting a little bit insane. I don't know if I ever see this many, but...
nah, this is the way to do it. This is the way God intended the game to be played, Tastosis.
I think he can actually crack sSak with this. That's just... Dude, that is so... It's so many shuttles. This is like a recall, basically.
Well, that's the idea, is you just keep making shuttles, except that they can't EMP this. When I play and it's going really well for me, I have this many shuttles.
Yeah.
And there's Reavers and Templars, and you just unload everywhere. And the trick is you just figure out where you can unload. Because they're not going to have everything covered everywhere. Even in weird spots, sometimes the Natural is the place to go to, if they've really covered the main and their 3rd base well.
Yeah. Well, he has a few turrets up there. That's not enough to stop this many shuttles. I feel like the dive will be on the 3rd. If he just drops on those tanks, I think that's a game-winning move.
Sure.
Those are in a terrible spot. They have no anti-air there. Let's see. Yeah, he is dropping all over those, man. A lot is out. There are vultures coming down to help clear this. But yeah, the tank's just taking too much damage right now.
I felt like this was going to go better.
Yeah, me too.
But, the truth is it was an okay trade. He needs to send those shuttles back and basically reload them. And, again, tanks are being killed off over time, and that's what's important when you're doing this. But Bisu doesn't seem to be too attentive. He just now pulls those shuttles away. And here you go, another fresh army to load back in there. Observers all over the map. And you can see that, Protoss gets to be so active doing this. Terran hasn't really left their corner of the map.
Yeah. Yeah, the one thing I can say, that the 5th base is going up for Bisu now. This is a very common thing that when you're really in the full swing of doing the shuttle drops, is you're generally on 4 base. So that is one thing that can help Terran to try to come back, because the economy is normally not quite as big as some other builds, like an Arbiter build, right? You'd definitely have had your 5th base a while ago. But yeah, here, maybe if sSak can block this next one really efficiently, there's potential to push up towards that 5th. Maybe.
Well, the 3rd base is looking a bit naked again. Keep in mind, you can drop on top of pushes just as well as you can on top of bases, and so here we go with that.
In fact, I think that's the strongest thing that this build does, is drop on these pushes that come out. And look at this, he's just slaughtering. Bisu's up twice the supply. sSak definitely looking completely dead. I mean, he was so far behind in the beginning anyways, but with Bisu slapping that down, I'm surprised sSak even moved out, but he might be feeling desperate at this point. But yeah, being down 80 supply is not somewhere that Terrans can really fight back from.
Yeah, this is, you know, let's see what happens. You can always drop all your shuttles, right? I mean, like, when I say drop, that's probably not the best, most articulate way to say it. You can lose all your shuttles. Let's say a Goliath shoot him down. You could have a really poor drop that comes in, and that can backfire. But right now, it's just hard to see a world where this doesn't work. But this mass shuttle style, it's so strong, and there's nothing to stop you from going into Arbiters later on as well. You know, I wish Bisu was a little bit more careful about which shuttle is unloading. I think that's one of the difficulties with this. He's unloading the Templars first, which are, you know, one of the key units to basically erase chunks of Terran units. And the trick is you figure out, like,
poorly on that.
Yeah, well, you figure out there's like 2 shuttles that are important, and you put them in the back, and then everything else that has Zealots and Dragoons you put in the front, and you unload them, and then you just watch those ones in the back and get the storms off.
He's actually clumping them a little bit too much. We saw him having difficulty actually unloading the army there, so like that was certainly a good defense for sSak, but he's still quite behind. He's still down by a good 64 supply. Bisu taking another base as well.
I'm glad you brought that up, Tastosis. The shuttles want to be spaced out. That way, when you grab them, you grab the shuttle, and then you click unload on the shuttle while it's moving. You do this for dropships and overlords as well, but you need them spaced out so that you can do that to each individual one, so that they all fan out in this wave and everything comes out at once. And the damage from the siege tank with Splash and the spider mines is distributed across whatever's on the ground that it's unloading on.
Yeah, that definitely can be a very good way to do it, like doing the carpet bombing unload. Otherwise, like, if they're stacked like mutas, they won't all unload. Like, they all kind of glitch because they're trying to load to the same spot. So you can just have them kind of spread and just give a location to unload, and then all of them will unload as well. But yeah, he hasn't been super on top of doing that well. And this is a build I don't see him do as often also, which is kind of weird because I feel like this hits his skill set really well. It feels like it should be a really good build for Bisu. And I mean, obviously he's winning. He's maxed out, coming in, going to attack this push once again. A lot of storms. Oh my god, that last storm just insane.
That was a nasty one, man. Really getting in there. Now I'm saying nasty storms. Tastosis. Oh my god!
Oh, man. Well, that's it. That is game right there. sSak, like, he stays in games a long time today in ASL, but he is, like, giga dead right now.
He's giga dead, man.
He's giga dead.
He's uber dead. Yeah, I mean, he's so gone. It's crazy.
His supply is doubled. His bases are more than doubled. I don't know what to say anymore.
I feel like this is how you make a Terran supervillain, is you leave a Terran player in a game like this and just, like, let them stew in a game that's been over for this long.
Well, I just heard a couple scans. Sometimes this is something you do, like when you're upset you lost, you scan around to see what they have, and you're like, fuck, every base. And then you leave the game. But he scans, and then he's like, well, I'm going to push out with 5 tanks again. I think this time it's going to work. It's like, well, I mean... yeah, you're in this big tournament. I guess you can stay as long as you want, but this truly is futile. I can't see this being good for your mindset or your stamina.
Yeah, or your stamina, where it's like, if you win, you know, in this series, you got to go up against a hero who's waiting. But he's, you know, Bisu's pushed him all the way back up here to the natural. GG. sSak taps out, giving Bisu the first win in this best of 3.
Yeah. So... all right, Bisu leads 1-0. He definitely looked very strong that game. A lot of things in the early game certainly did go his way. He got some really strong scouting done. Sox was a little bit later, so Bisu had the advantage. Like his Nexus first, never had to really drop making probes, which is super powerful. His harassment did reasonably well. sSak taking his third base a little bit quicker than he normally does, really trying to do a more powered out upgrade Terran style, which is not exactly his style. And he pays for it there, unfortunately. I would like to see him kind of revert a little bit. You know, get up to those 5 factories before you're landing your third base. And, you know, the very spread defenses can be difficult if you're not consistently doing them. And even then, you know, that's how a lot of Protosses find victories.
Well, Bisu definitely showing that he can, you know, do old styles like he did against mine, but he can also do these new styles as well. You know, he's always had a very big range. He's always been very good at the matchup. I do feel like he is a better player than sSak. I am expecting this to be a 2-0. But let's see what sSak's got in store for us in the next game.
Well, I'm trying to remember. Oh, yeah, 76! Tasteless! It's going to be on 76. I'm so excited.
Yes.
Oh, I actually had forgotten. I was just like, wait, what's map number 2? Oh, yeah!
I forgot about that, too.
So can't wait. Can't wait to see what these guys have planned. I think sSak's game is not going to look anything like Light's game. I don't think he'll go double starport. That's not really his skill set. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, anything could happen here, really. It's still such an unexplored map.
Long game, go, go. Let's do this. PVT, another game on 76 starts now.
All right, in the bottom left, we have sSak. And in the top right, we have Bisu. So they are spawning pretty darn far away from each other. You know, we've talked about 76 quite a bit. You have those stacked minerals for about 54 seconds. They're hallucinated. There's also hallucinated mineral patches that allow you to jump to your back natural. If you don't utilize those in the first 54 seconds, you're going to have to get a drop ship to get in there. Since a mineral patch is blocking, you know, you have to get a worker down. Yeah, and so far, it has felt like a lot of one-base Terran into expansions that I've seen, and then on Protoss' side, a mixture of one-base versus the faster Nexus.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering if we're going to have anything that could be as long as what we had before on this. Again, you were saying this earlier, Tastosis, but I really want to hammer this home. You know, Cloak Wraith does seem to be Light's thing. Terran have been a race on island situations on maps. It is a viable race. Zerg is the race that suffers from being isolated on one base. Zerg just have a hard time island maps, one basing. Not that you have to one base on this map, but I'm just saying there's a lot that Terran can do on here. But I'm wondering if it might just be mass dropship play early on instead of Wraith. And then from the Protoss, I'm wondering, do we have anything that involves Corsairs early? Because that's something that was neglected before in the games that we saw.
You know, Corsairs are really hit or miss against Terran. I feel like it's not likely. Maybe against Light, it could be a potential. Like if Light hadn't been eliminated from the tournament and he was still just bashing Protosses on the map or something, maybe there could be some sort of counterplay there, but I think against a player like sSak, it is more likely, as you said, to be something like just dropships instead of Wraiths, like maybe he's flying around with Goliath tank, that type of thing. That feels more his style. By the way, Bisu here with the Nexus first at the mineral base. What do you think about that?
I've got more questions than answers, Tastosis, I'll give you that much. I guess let's keep in mind that shuttles are mineral intensive. Zealots and Dragoons are mineral intensive. If you just take one base that's a mineral only and then go into shuttles with speed, I would imagine, I mean, it sounds kind of a caveman barbaric way to play right away, but it probably sounds pretty strong too, right? It might be the Ooga Booga play, but I kind of like it. I think there's a lot to it. And it's The simplicity is also what I like about it. It seems like this is going to be a defendable base. You don't have to deal with the complexities of that one base that you're tempted into taking early on. Sure. If that's what he's going to go for. I mean, we'll see. But, I mean, the only thing I can imagine you can do with a mineral-only base on a map that's consists of lots of islands and then ramps that big units can't go up and down would be speed shuttles and zealots and dragoons, right?
I would think so. I would think so. You know, obviously you can't get a dragoon down that ramp, but that's okay if you are going directly into that shuttle. And certainly there are builds where you go into the shuttle with the 1 gas. So yeah, I think you're probably right here. I think we'll see the shuttle and then maybe take his back expand so he actually gets some gas income there as well. sSak over here. We're still kind of waiting to see. It looks like he's going double factory in his main base.
Yeah, double factory is also fine. You know, I mean, I'm sorry, double starport.
Never mind.
Well,
yeah.
All right. Well, now you guys know we don't cheat in the VODs, right? Man, okay, so that's actually the play then. All right, so he is going to play like light. And I will say, I think if he does approach this like this, Protoss is going to have to be careful. You know, Dragoons, maybe even a Forge early might be the way to try to approach this, to try to make sure you really don't take any extra damage with this.
For sure, but he doesn't know that it's the double starport play. Like, you know, we saw the Best game where Best just blindly went for the cannons but still took damage. Here we don't see that from Bisu. These Wraiths, Tasteless, there's nothing that shoots up at the natural yet. Like, you'll probably make a Dragoon out of that. Oh, there's the Forge. Okay, okay, so it seems like Bisu has the right type of defense on the way.
Yeah, no cannon yet. A Dragoon will beat a Wraith, but Wraiths are a lot more nimble than Dragoons.
He actually popped a Zealot out there, so there's the potential to like maybe attack the cannon, or I guess he won't do something like that. He doesn't know if there's about to be a Dragoon coming out, so just going to get whatever he can as far as probes. I love the landed factory with the Vulture. Look at that. It's adding some good damage.
It's actually a great move. The Wraiths now are going to come down here. We do have the Vulture going down. The cannon is going to be picked off. I think that was basically the right play to Tastosis, to not like try to do anything crazy and actually get the cannon, because you don't know if the Dragoon's about to pop out or not. You just see a Zealot's there. You don't know when that came into the game or not. And now he takes a probe and he ferries it over to the island base to try to expand again over here. So it seems like Bisu's basically just going to be trying to defend everything. And, you know, worrying about how to beat the Terran after he's got his 3 bases up and he's teched out.
Well, the Wraiths might be able to help him control this new expansion they dropped. I'm actually surprised he went home with the Wraiths. I think that was either a misclick or just a poor decision. I don't see why you would go home right now. Like, keep flying around, keep checking, because I think he could have slowed down this 3rd Nexus by a lot.
Keep in mind, he can see the blurs. They both can. A good scan could snipe that observer almost instantaneously.
Does he actually have his scanner? I haven't heard a scan yet, actually.
I think I see a scanner sticking off the command center, but maybe not. Maybe that was an SCV passing. I guess he doesn't have it.
Well, cannon's up. It feels like the Wraith harassment is almost done here. Yeah, he doesn't have that scanner as of yet, so he can't really remove. I feel like Light's build was just slightly better. I liked the Vulture that he made there. That helped out a little bit, but like the missing of the scanner, the inability to snipe the early observers. Like, look, there's an observer in his base, and now Bisu actually has a very good idea of what's going on, whereas when we saw Best versus Light, Best was, you know, playing in the dark for a lot of the game because of how many observers he lost.
Yeah, also watching this build, if there was any way to get DTs into the Terran's base, it would be huge. I mean, there's just no detection when I'm watching this. I mean, obviously, you can't just make DTs and have them appear there, but it does make me wonder.
Yeah, it's not StarCraft 2 tasteless.
But have you just seen, you know, how much you can get out with Terran if you don't have to worry about detection at all? It's pretty wild.
Well, the dropship is out. He's taking his own 3rd base. The Wraiths continue to kind of patrol about, but it seems like they're partially aimless. Like, if you look at the minimap and see the little cloud of Wraiths moving around the center, it doesn't look like they're doing anything in particular. He's like looking to get lucky with them, like just catch a shuttle or something, you know?
Sure. Well, I mean, it's probably not a bad idea. The only way that you could lose these bases is with shuttles coming in there. But Bisu is kind of staying back. And by the way, I am having that sense of wonder that we talked about when we saw the other game on 76 of like, this reminds me of the really old days with the really weird maps and watching these old school legends kind of try to expand, and all the builds were so unique and the game was so not understood. I'm getting a lot of vibes from just watching this, but I got to say both these builds look really, honestly, pretty solid.
Yeah.
It's cool to see development like this kind of pan out.
It is a treat, really. Like, this is probably my favorite of the really strange maps that we've had in ASL so far. And we've had a lot of really, really strange ones, you know, Inner Coven, Sparkle, Third World, you know, there's been a huge degree. But certainly at least the Terran vs. Protoss on this map have been really interesting. And this one's building up, like, pretty similar to Best versus Light, but that makes me worry for sSak, because sSak is not as good as Light, and this is really Light's strat, I think, right? That he's, like, really a master of. And, you know, Bisu and Best, you could probably put it at a similar level, right? So it's like, ooh, is he going to be able to actually, as Bisu's economy really kicks in, truly fend him off?
That's the big question. You know, I think that the first game was definitely a big reminder of just how strong Mass Shuttle is. And that was on a map where Terran can at least get to everywhere they want to be. What's it going to look like on a map where, you know, Terran is cut off in large ways from other spots on the map? By the way, obviously Terran can go mass dropship too, but I think it's not quite the same. You know, Zealots and Dragoons, they don't have, like, abilities. Like, they don't siege up or plant mines, so in some ways they're not as good, but that means they're easy to cart around.
Yeah, that's very true. Every Protoss unit, and the shuttle as well, are a bit more expendable and a bit more mobile. You know, you can pack a lot of power into some dropships, but, like, once we start seeing storms go off, you know, the Terran army that's floating around, if things go wrong, it's worse in a lot of ways. You know, 100 gas for each dropship. The fact that it's a little bit slower, you can definitely get them caught a little bit easier. It can be tough.
And we've got a drop coming in here now. One for Terran up at the top left, another for the Protoss down in the bottom center. A bunker and 2 tanks. Tanks pretty well placed, but certainly this is just going to be too much from the Protoss.
It ends up losing a shuttle there before it really unloads, but, you know, the bunker is buying him some time. Unfortunately, there's a Reaver in here as well, so I feel like the Reaver is going to really help him to bust through everything.
Dude,
the rate's finally coming down. Yeah. Okay, there you go. He does get a good one there, but it feels like he could have done a bit better. I can't believe the bunker is still alive, honestly.
This is insane.
Yeah. It looks like the rates can technically kill everything here, but he's losing every single SCV. So I think the drop from Bisu was actually really good still. You know, we were talking about this in Group C, where basically every time you attack, it's inefficient. So it's more about, like, denying your opponent's economy while keeping enough of your own economy that you can be inefficient, you know? And then eventually someone just can't be inefficient anymore with their attacks, and then you start to explode. And it seems like Bisu is doing a better job of that right now.
Oh my god. Big unload there to take out that dropship. Keep in mind, shuttles cost minerals, 200 to be exact. Dropships cost 100 gas.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's 100 minerals, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100 minerals, 100 gas. So anything mineral cost, that's only mineral cost, is more expendable. So when you start to see dropships go down, you know, they have to remake another one that could have been a tank, that could have been something else. So another big moment here for Bisu. He could actually just one-shot the CC.
I know, right? Like, just do 2 volleys there and it's gone. But honestly, I think Bisu has basically won this game now. Bisu's going up to 4 bases. He just killed the 3rd of sSak. sSak has barely any gas. He's not able to keep up with what Bisu's doing. Look at how many shuttles Bisu has already. Oh my god.
Well, let's also not forget that Bisu, you know, he's so, frankly, old school that he was playing on a lot of weird maps like this one. I mean, not this one specifically, but maps like this, right? There was a whole weird era of StarCraft where they were super experimental before they eventually backed off of maps, you know, having map pools in excess that were too crazy.
Yeah, definitely Bisu showing that he knows how to play a very strange map like this very well. That was 7 shuttles going up here. sSak has a pretty large army moving up towards this new mineral-only base. Bringing a lot of SCVs as well. Maybe he's going to build some turrets or something. But Bisu comes in, drops off. Oh, God, he's got Psystorm now as well. And, dude, that's just got to be game, man. Once again, sSak. You know, sSak is a good player, but he got completely destroyed in this group. Just every game wasn't close, unfortunately, for him today.
He got Hulk smashed.
He really did.
I mean,
he really
that
did.
was crazy. And so sSak's out. He's our first death in Group D, which leaves only 2 players left. Bisu and Hero are coming up next.
That is an amazing match. That is like one of the very best Zergs against one of the very best Protoss, both at that matchup as well. I cannot wait, Tasteless. sSak, unfortunately, going to be eliminated, but, you know, he's not really a round of 8 guy. I think he is a round of 16 guy. Like, honestly, I think he underperformed here today. I think he could have maybe even gotten to the final match here, but definitely Bisu way, way stronger. And that's good. That's good. We really, I mean, everyone's rooting for Bisu right now, man. We want Bisu in that round of 8.
Yeah, I mean, fingers crossed here. I think Hero is a very tough guy to go up against. This should be a really fun matchup. Let's not forget Bisu is the bully of all Zergs. He's the guy that reminds all Protosses that actually you can beat Zerg. You can play straight up. You don't have to be sneaky. You just get in their face and you never let down, and eventually you overcome them. But Hero's so smart. He's such an adroit player. This is going to be such a fun best of 3. We're going to get to that in a second, guys. Short break, and when we come back, our final best of 3 for the round of 16. You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back.
드디어 카운트다운을 시작합니다.
4, 3, 2, 1.
떴다. 제로 칼로리로 기분까지 가볍게. 밀키스 제로.
실성사이다 제로.
너도 탐세봐 탐세로.
ASL continues on. We're about to close out the round of 16. Hero and Bisu, 2 real heavyweights, 2 real contenders to maybe take the season, are going to fight to get that last spot in a round of 8 that so far has 4 Zergs in it. Tastosis, it could go up to 5.
It's a real possibility. Hero is of that level. You know, he's someone that if he's not in the round of 8, I think it's an upset no matter how you cut it. But Bisu still has amongst the very best PvZ in the world. Maybe he still has the best PvZ in the world, right? Like, I guess it's down to him and Mini at this point to figure that out. But, you know, I can definitely see Bisu taking that. I think if he does take it, suddenly the round of 8 is a lot more exciting.
Well, let's not forget that Bisu knows how to go head-to-head against a Zerg and basically overpower them. You know, he doesn't need to be sneaky. He doesn't need to be deceptive. He can, but a lot of times he just gets Zealots in the right places. You know, snipes drones, picks off Overlords with Corsairs. It's going to be fun to see what Hero does, and we're going to find that out as we go into map number 1 on Dark Origin.
Right, in the bottom right, we have Hero. And in the top left, we have Bisu.
So if we do get into a longer game, I do want to point out, it seems like Lurker Contains on the other side of the bridge are extremely powerful.
Yeah.
We've had many games, not even just in this matchup, where it does seem like control of the middle is just so profoundly strong. It's insane. We might not get that far, but I just want to lay the groundwork so that if we do get there, we can pick right up on that and start to unpack that for you guys.
Yeah, that's certainly going to be something that's extremely important here. And I've seen games where Protoss can gain that control as well and really harass the 4th base of Zerg. We'll see what... Oh, is that Stork in the audience?
Yeah, it's Stork. There he is.
Nice. He's watching his favorite Protoss player play.
The guy that figured PvZ out.
Yeah.
So
Stork won a lot of money on the back of Bisu's openers.
That's very true. Bisu is going to go for a gateway expand here. And let's see what Hero decides to do. Is it going to be overpool? Is he going to go for a hatch on 12? Looks to me like it's going to be... sorry, not hatch on... I always say hatch on 12 because in the, you know, the pre-Cretaceous periods of the game, people hatched on 12. Now it's hatch on 11, excuse me. I've been saying that forever because it's like...
Yeah.
So ingrained in my childhood, but...
Absolutely. Actually, I have that problem where I call it 12 hatch, but it is actually 11. Like, they always go out on 11 now. And a lot of times it's 11 hatch, 10 pool even. And you see that's exactly what he's doing here.
Yeah.
Do you know why that switched?
I think it just allows you to get enough to defend against everything. 12 hatch felt nicer because you had the extra drone, but you know, you are at risk. People don't really center gate anymore. At least we don't see it in pro matches, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't be ready for it, right? It's better to just get the pool out early than to send a drone to look around.
Yeah, yeah. Also, it might have to do with larva. There's like some really specific things, like in Zerg vs. Terran, when you're going 2 hatchery, if you get your layer at like 257 as opposed to 304 or 302 to 304, there's a 1 larva difference. So like you can actually tell if you see the exact start time. Like it gives you a lot more information, and that was something that like took a long time for Zergs to figure out. But like the balancing of when the larvae come out and when you have the money to actually buy them, that type of thing. So I wonder if it's something like that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly could be. We've got the first Zealot coming in here. If you do see them go hatch first, it is occasionally worth it to try to kamikaze the Zealot in and just see what you can get. And he does get the 2 hits off on the drone. I think the probe can try to catch this one. Oh, he whiffs it. He whiffs it.
Can't believe he missed that. And then Lings come down and get it. And now he's going to flank the Zealot. Perfect opener there from Hero. By the way, Hero's doing my absolute favorite Zerg vs. Protoss opener. On the rare occasions that I play some Zerg on the ladder, this is what I try to do, is this where you go for the quick speed, but it's actually a macro build, and Hero will probably go up to like 5 hatches and then get back on gas. Oh, he canceled the speed. Look at that.
Oh, you're right, yeah.
Wow. Okay, so with speed canceled and a Hydralisk den going down, it looks like he's switching it up into a Hydra Bust.
Yeah, not surprising. He didn't lose a single drone, so he's got enough to basically prep for this rush in here. He's hoping that, well, I guess with the cannon already done, there's no threat that you're going to lose to the Ling all in, right? But the thing that Bisu has to look for is, can he make the Zerglings move and show that they don't have Ling speed? In fact, he's not even going to try to show them at all. Because the Zealots, they have the opportunity to scout. If you see no Ling speed, it either means Hydras or it means a layer's coming and you're probably going to get Muta rushed.
That is a really interesting play from Hero to then hide the Lings, because like you're not going to leave your wall with a hole in it against Speedlings, because if they run in and kill the cannon, you're likely to lose the game.
Exactly.
So it feels like this is a beautiful mind game from Hero, because like Bisu definitely knows this build. Hero's like the only Zerg I ever see really do this, like the heavy macro after speed. But look, he walks down, he sees the Ling, and it is slow. Is this going to set him off? And he does start to go across the map.
He's smart. He says, wait a minute. No Speedlings? All right, what's going on? Now, there was a Hydra Den made. This is a 3-hatch Hydra bust. Okay, like, make no mistake about it. There's no purpose in making a den immediately. But he's sent out just one Zealot, and it looks like he wants to try to slip this into the third. All he needs to see is a Hydralisk hatching. Keep in mind, he's also, you know, between Hydras, he's also juggling the threat of possibly Mutas coming out here. And that's another big issue. It looks like these Zealots, he sees it.
Yeah. So that is a huge moment right there for Bisu. He now knows that this is a 3-hatch Hydra build. That is a very early Hydra. More Hydras popping out. Speed just finished on the Hydra, so now he can throw down his cannons. I tell you what, Bisu, Tasteless, I called you Bisu. That's the greatest thing I ever said.
That's the greatest compliment you ever given me. You can call me Bisu from here on out. We can just cast Tasteless in the game over here playing well.
But yeah, this is, like, you can see the difference between Bisu and so many players. He literally saw no Zergling speed at a certain moment. Like, he caught one Ling running by, and it changed the entire game. And now I think he's going to be at an advantage, right? If these cannons get in, the bust isn't going to work, I don't think.
Well, he's got to just make sure. Okay, he gets his Zealots out on the outside around the forge. He's basically ready to tank this. By the way, I love that the Zealot's going to come back in. The fact that he keeps that alive, it's so smart. Now, he runs forward here. I think there are just enough cannons that he can't really pull this off. He might be able to get the forge, though. You know, this forge is not protected, and that's one way to do it. In fact, this may tee up a double forge here for Bisu. I've seen this from time to time where players will just make 2 if they lose 1, and then just try to go for like 1-1 and then 2-2 timings.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense, I think, especially considering you're going to be playing against ground units, and your +1 is going to be so delayed. We saw him throw up at least 1 there. The Corsair is actually keeping great tabs on whether or not more Hydras are coming. So when you see no more Hydras are going across the map, you don't really need to add more cannons. So Bisu's able to get these gateways going. There is that double forge that you mentioned. I feel like Bisu has played like a perfect game so far.
Yeah, he really has. And by the way, we see a lot of Zergs try to do this to Bisu because they do not want to have a normal game of development from him. He's too scary. I feel like Bisu actually gets Hydra Rush the most in ASL. Am I wrong about that? Does that feel right, what I'm saying, Tastosis?
It does feel right, yeah. It feels like there's a lot of Protosses where the Zergs are very happy to go into Hydra Lurker. It doesn't feel like that's the case with Bisu. It's like there's certainly, I remember some series we've had in the past where it's like just pure aggression against him.
So we've got the Corsair coming in now. And he's just scouting right now. It's important to remember that, you know, even if they don't go for Mutas and you invested in that Stargate tech, it's fine because now you can just check on what they're doing. Don't upgrade air weapons. This isn't going to be your charge lot +1 air attack play. You were almost Hydra busted. You want to go hard into trying to get a ground army because your production's going to kick in heavy earlier than theirs is. All their extra hatches are late, and that's huge for Zerg.
Well, he is adding those hatches. He's going to be on 6 hatchery now. He has an evolution chamber going. The Spire is up. We'll see if he tries to commit into some mutas to knock out the High Templars or not. Like, Hero's done a good job. I'm always surprised with these top Zergs. They'll do a 3-hatch Hydra, it won't work, and then I look over and they have 6 hatches and everything going. I'm like, damn, man. Like, how do you do that? It's so crazy.
So the Zealots are going to come out. Keep in mind, well, damn, they hatched before I could say it. I was going to say, keep in mind, without a lot of Corsairs, you can make a bunch of mutas and try to snipe Templars and other stuff. So these Zealots are going to have to turn around. I also don't know if there's cannons in the main, actually, to protect against mutas. Now, when you see the mutas, you also know they're not going lurker, or they can't. If they did upgrade lurkers, they don't have a lot.
Yeah, it's a good point. He has 4 High Templars. He is throwing up some cannons. He has a Corsair. Do you go back into Corsairs at this point? Are you trying to get like a Dark Archon? Do you just go into Dragoons? Because suddenly I'm looking at this man, and the mutas are doing so well. He picks off the Corsair. There is a High Templar coming up, but he goes over the probes, which is so smart.
Yeah, and to answer your question, I think it's Dark Archon. That's what I do. You can also make an Archon. But, you know, the problem with an Archon is that it doesn't really cut it. You know, the mutas can basically ignore it. So we have Dragoons that are coming out here. But, you know, Dragoons are not great at chasing mutas either. I mean, they've got okay range, but, you know. So I guess the answer probably is try to make some more Corsairs as a failsafe against that. But the mutas really put Hero back in the game.
They really do. That was a lot of damage he just dealt to Bisu. It felt like Bisu had real control of this game. He is going ahead, and like he has some of these Dragoons out. I think it's Dragoon range that's on the way. Yeah, he actually isn't having a blinking Stargate. So it's like the 1 Corsair, and then Dragoons are going to hold this off till he gets some additional cannons.
Well, the mutas can basically ignore the Dragoons. They can come in here again. He's going to start to try to... he looks like he's trying to fight these Dragoons. Again, you know, the Dragoons... The good thing is if he fights the Dragoons is that enough Dragoons can be remade. They can come back into this. But the problem is that Dragoons are not going to win this fight until there's way too many of them, and I'm worried that he might switch and go on the probes even here.
Yeah, the Dragoons are having a hard time even getting back here, and they just don't kill Mutalisks very quickly.
Yeah,
they really
don't attack fast is the problem. Like, they can beat mutas, and mutas do take a long time to kill them, but probes die immediately. And trading out some of those mutas for Dragoons is fine, because this is going to allow the lurker tech to be that much stronger. You want to have like 20 Dragoons-ish when you're going to start your push. Sometimes you want more if they're really turtled up. But at this point in time, I mean, how many Dragoons were actually killed back there? It seemed like 6 or 7, right?
It was a lot. It's like kind of almost silly to watch. Honestly, I think that this is one of the things that would actually maybe help the game a little bit if mutas were a large unit. Because, like, explosive damage that comes out of turrets or Dragoons, it's like mutas just ignore that stuff so often, you know? They're just like, yeah, I don't know, I'm not taking very much damage, let's just kill everything that you have.
Well, it's one of the things that allows the mutas to then try to snipe Templars. Like, Zerg has so many Hydras, this could be a game that I think we've casted so many times before, Tastosis, which is just one where... you know, there's 11 or more mutas. They just fly in. They killed a few Templars that have Storm, and then the Hydras close it out. And if that doesn't happen, I also think a Lurker Contain could just be set up and cage Bisu into his two bases.
Yeah. Bisu now has 1-1. He's lost several High Templars already. This is a huge amount of mutas. There's only 1 cannon in the main base. This looks like an impossible task right now, honestly. Like, you can't defend your main and move out. Like, if he moves out, he has to be threatening Hero's death, I think. Right? Like, he needs Hero to take it so seriously that Hero doesn't counterattack with the mutas. Because the mutas would actually destroy his main easily.
To me, it does seem like, you know, if you're going to go stop a 3-hatch Hydra push and start to try to put pressure, I think you should hide a Dark Archon at home and make it and put 1 Templar in your main.
That's a good point. I have seen that from some pro Protosses sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what else is the easy way to deal with it. And, you know, one of the problems is that, like, okay, but what if they don't go mutas? Then I guess you try to freeze lurkers when they're running around the map, you know? Something
Maelstrom is a good spell. I mean, it's not optimal against, like, Hydra, but it can be used. You freeze 4 or 5 Hydras. That's not bad.
Well, we have 2 armor plus 1 attack done now.
Perfect dodge there on the first storm, and then they kill 2 High Templars. That is so painful. That is a lot of Hydras, and he's coming in for a flank right now. But you know what? That's a lot of speed lots. And coming in with a little flank as well, Bisu should be able to clear this. But as this flank comes up with the other Hydras, is he going to have enough to do something? Oh my god! Those storms are crazy!
So we have seen this used against players that go for Hydra Muta, is you put the Templars inside shuttles. Almost like it's a PvT, but it doesn't need to have shuttle speed. because you're not that worried about the shuttle getting to where it needs to be. It basically needs to slow roam with the rest of the army, and that seemed to have caught Hero off guard. There were like 2 totally insane storms that shut him down. Center control. Oh, shuttle goes down, but hold on. There's a push coming in here. There are lurker eggs. Oh, wait. Is there no observer here?
Yeah, there is one observer. It's
there's
flying
one.
up
Sorry.
right now. The High Templars are being targeted down, and Bisu doesn't seem to notice, unfortunately. He loses 2 immediately. Still has another storm here, and a beautiful storm goes off on those Hydras. Oh, my God. Bisu does have this high ground. Another High Templar dies, but he does get the 4th hatch.
I mean, I think he missed out on like 5 Psy Storms there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's a point where, 1 or 2 Templars can be picked off and the game's not over, but like that many, even though he killed the base, I feel like Bisu like lost his army, and I think he's probably still going to lose this game.
Yeah,
GG.
he thinks so too, Tastosis, because he GG's. We know sSak would still be in this game, but Bisu going to tap out and go to game number 2.
Yeah, well, a lot of that is on Bisu. He wasn't ready for the mutas, despite, I think, a really good hold early on. And then when the push came out, it seems like he could have still won the game. He just needed, 3 or 4 more storms. And then he gets a 3rd base. He did deny the Zerg their 4th base. If you get a 3rd base up and you deny their 4th, you're fine.
Yeah. I think that Mutalist counterattack into the main base, it killed too many probes. It killed too many Dragoons. It slowed Bisu down immensely. It's too bad, too, because he showed a lot of mastery until that moment where he was caught off guard. So Hero grabs a victory from the jaws of defeat, and now is leading 1-0. If he picks up 1 more map, he gets to that round of 8.
Yep. And then we get the dream. 5 Zergs in the round of 8, man. Let's do it. Let's get Bisu out here, Tastosis. What do you say?
I tell you, I want Bisu to advance so badly it hurts.
I know, I want him to advance so badly. But I'll tell you what, he didn't play well back there. He really didn't.
Beginning, I think he played well. The beginning,
but,
right? It was solid.
I mean, that he was in the position where he should have been able to take the mid game, but he didn't do it. We're going to Vermeer. Hero versus Bisu continues on. Hero with that 1-0 lead.
All right, top right, we have Hero. And top left, we have Bisu. The map, of course, is Vermeer. Just a great map. Looking forward to seeing what Bisu wants to try to do here, his tournament life on the line. If he can get past Hero here, Hero is, again, one of the players that could win this tournament. He's just so strong. He has been forever. His ZVP is amazing, as we just saw. Honestly, you look at the bracket, no one stands out as someone that is really favored against Bisu, right? It's mostly Zergs, and then it's like, okay, well, Mind is good, JYJ is good, Best is good. None of those guys are unbeatable for Bisu.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Bisu could take this for sure. I mean, he's great against Zergs. This appears to be an ASL where you have to be able to beat Zergs, and Bisu's the Zerg killer, right? So I think on paper, sure, he has had some questionable games. I think in both the PVT he played against Mind, as well as the PVZ we just saw. He doesn't seem to be in the best shape out of everybody in the group. He's certainly not playing like Mind did, but if he can go back and prep, and round of 8 really is all about prep because it's best of 5s that are spaced out over weeks and weeks. I think he can be in good shape. A group in an ASL round of 24, round of 16 is really a test of your overall ability, right? Your overall aptitude in all the matchups.
Well, I really do want to see him advance to there, but he's got to take Hero down here on Vermeer, and then hopefully Heartbreak Ridge. Hero is no slouch, though, man. Like, that was such a solid comeback. Like, he was originally, it looked like, planning to go for, his regular Speedling macro opener, and then, if the probe isn't there, he just insta-switches to a different build. So he's very flexible. It's like Hero sees the Matrix code watching him play, honestly.
he seems to have the very best decision trees in the game. By the way, he hid this in a way, it looks like it's 4 lings, or maybe not. Maybe now as the vision spaces out. Okay, so you see the 6 lings. You got to be very careful when you see 6 lings coming at you. That means the Protoss has to really be ready to defend.
Yeah, 6 will take out a Zealot easily, but you also have to block your ramp, right? So that's where it becomes a little bit of an issue. You actually have to kind of fight the lings. Now, as 3 come in, that's not as scary. He does have 2 Zealots now. But you got to micro this in such a way where, again, none of them enter your main base.
Right. If they get in, it's a problem. You know, the Nexus is delayed slightly.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. That's actually one of the ways you die right away, is that one of the Zealots gets surrounded, but Bisu's so good!
Yeah, still micros pretty well there. 3 lings, unfortunately, do get up into his main base, so that is going to be highly annoying. Hopefully he doesn't lose too many probes. Lose 1 there. Oh, man. Making me nervous.
Yeah, same here. He gets another one. If you get it down to 1 Zergling, the rush is basically over. Okay, perfectly done. Because 1 can't really do anything. You can take 1 of your probes or 2 of your probes, depending on the thing's HP, and just right-click on the Ling, and then, you know, send everything out. Bisu smartly counterattacks with a Zealot. Bisu's always been very good at basically generating his own threats on his side of the map, and some Zergs get too greedy and drone up a little bit too quick. You got to remember how micro-intensive this is for the Zerg as well.
Yeah.
And so sometimes they end up missing that Zealot coming out.
Well, it looks like Bisu going to pull out for now from that main base ramp, and we'll send the Zealot down to the 3rd. He sees that hatchery all done. No drones there yet. He can hide in those mineral patches as well. Back at home, the Forge going up, so it looks like he will get himself into a safe position. Do you look at one of these players as being in the lead right now, Tastosis?
I think it's pretty even.
Yeah.
I think it's always annoying for the Zerg when the Protoss gets the counterplay and plugs up the mineral patches with Zealots like this. It just makes it hard to mine, and drones have to be transferred. And, you know, transfer times impact Zerg more than they do Protoss and Terran, because if they have to transfer and can't, you know, mine from where they're hatching, you know, first of all, Zerg are operating off of less workers always anyways. And, you know, the truth is, for Bisu in this game, his core's about to finish. You know, he's teching up fine. I think he's not in bad shape at all.
Yeah, I got a little bit nervous when that Zealot got surrounded, so he kind of lost it for free, and then 3 Zerglings got him, but he only killed 1 probe, so it's really, it was like a pretty solid defense. Like, a lot of times 3 Lings get up, and I'm surprised they'll get like 4 probes. I'm like, how does that even happen, man? That's crazy.
Not the best control here from Hero. He's just dropping Lings, almost like a set and forget. And now 4 more Lings are going to come, or 5 more Zealots are going to come out. And, you know, when you have the 5 Zealots come out, this kind of forces the Zerg's hand. Because he's not, he'll see that there are no Hydras coming out here. He probably, maybe not, let's see how he controls this. He might not be able to get up the ramp here. It seems like there's going to barely be enough. But again, these are forcing Lings, they're not drones. Really good control here by Bisu.
Yeah, that's too many Lings, though. He will end up losing all of these Zealots, so a solid hold from Hero. And he does have that speed upgrade. The wall is not completely plugged up, so he does have to be careful about that, but the Zealot going to try to run down and kind of sneak around towards that 3rd base.
Yeah, you can see he just looked for where that Zealot would be. He knew there was going to be a rally of some sort over there. He's got to be careful. All these Lings are bruised. He wants to try to take an engage where he doesn't lose anything more than he needs to, but really good control here from Bisu, basically just clicking down the weaker Lings. And again, it's a moment where both sides have losses, but Protoss can make probes the whole time. Zerg can't. So when you force more Lings to be made, it does keep the drone count pretty low for Zerg, although as we just got a glance a second ago of Hero's base, it seems like he actually has a decent amount of drones.
Yeah, he's really a master of re-droning up after these tough positions. It's just kind of like that last game as well. I'm always impressed and surprised to see all the extra hatcheries, all the drones on the way. The economic balancing of a Zerg player is truly mysterious to Terran and Protoss players.
So his Corsairs are going to hunt down Overlords. There aren't Scourge out to fight this yet. It looks like the trajectory of the Corsair and the trajectory of the Overlords fleeing to the bottom right are going to miss each other. Luckily for the Overlords.
Yeah, the Corsair is going to come out empty-handed, unfortunately. They do sweep that side of the map, And, you know, at least he knows there's nothing nearby that can open up some potentials of, like, blocking things with, you know, like a Dark Templar in case like, one of these Hydra busts comes, something like that. He does have the Templar Archives on the way. And it still seems like Bisu is, like, developing quite healthily.
Oh my God! Nicely done.
I thought he was going to lose that.
Alive. He's got the Scourge right-clicked on the Zealots just to see where they're going exactly. I don't know if we're going to have mutas or not. Okay, we are. They are popping out here. That's the question.
I like how every time you want to talk about mutas, they pop out of the hatchery.
I know. I mean, the truth is that, you know, from the Protoss' perspective, you're trying to figure out, okay, are you going to go mutas? Am I going to be on the defense, or are you not? And I'm going to be on the offense. And now Hero shows him, and so Bisu knows where he needs to go. He needs to run back home.
Yeah, the legs kick in, so he will be able to maybe get a couple of them back home. He was actually just killing the eggs, so it's actually much more wide open now, and very few Zealots here, but I don't think that you really have enough to jump on top of that.
More gates are finishing over here. Classic Bisu, the second gateway is over here in the natural. He's really one of the first guys to start doing that, and he's been doing it to this day. This allows you to safely morph an Archon if you need it. There's no way the mutas can get in between the two gateways to do that.
Now, a little miniature Ogre Zerg Gamer comes up. He right-clicks on that cannon, and the Scourge just going to try to zone out all of the Corsairs. Ooh, one of them get caught. Two of them get caught right there. The Archon going to come up, and he still has 4, so he actually is going to hold. You know what? I think he dealt with that as best he could. I think it's better to lose a couple Corsairs here than to lose a ton of probes trying to clear everything with the Archon first.
It was really beautifully done. He knew exactly when to stop moving. Scourge kind of came in, he just shut it down. And now it's going to be the Protoss' turn. Excuse me, Artosis, I have a bit of the hiccups here in this cast. I'm trying not to hiccup into the mic. But yeah, he can come out now. He can try to be aggressive, and he's going to keep the Corsairs back for a little bit. Let's see if he can find any damage.
It's a very small army. Looks like a Sunken and some Hydra setup, so definitely can't attack in here. As soon as he sees that, of course, he turns around. And, you know, a DT is coming up as well. There is still that little group of Corsairs, so maybe he can find somewhere to slip the DT in. But for now, it feels like the defense of Hero is just good enough in every way. And with this many Hydras coming, I don't see any High Templars with Storm Tasteless.
This is kind of crazy. He's actually targeting that Archon down really nicely between the Hydras and the mutas. The Corsairs come in here at the last second, and they're going to take out the bulk of the mutas in a really great moment there. Can the Corsairs loop back around? You were right, Artosis. I only see 2 cannons. You need at least 4 to finish, along with Templars with Storm. And we see Templars. I don't see enough energy for Storm here.
Yeah, this is really not looking good right now. Even an Overlord out, so no Dark Templar potential for defense. Cannons are finishing, but only as the other ones are dying. This looks like it might be a kill.
Uh-oh, Artosis. I think we are in the wrong timeline. I think we're going to have 5 Zergs in the round of 8.
Oh, man. Time Bone, save me.
That's
no.
too late. We're in the wrong timeline. Man, I don't think he can quite recover. I have to imagine that there's more Hydras coming down here. There is another Storm or 2 available. Maybe with the gateways up, maybe somehow, some way he gets enough Zealots. He chips enough with the Storms themselves. The Corsairs are coming back around. They're going to try to kill Overlords back at home. Hero is supply blocked.
Yeah, the supply block is nice, but he just doesn't have enough units. If he had another 10 Zealots, maybe. But the Hydralist count is a bit too high. The last cannons are falling in. Archon not going to pair well against this many Hydras. And the probe's starting to get pulled as well. We are just about at the end here. Unfortunately, only one Protoss going to end up going through. Yeah, that's too bad, man. I'm sad to see Bisu fall, honestly. I would have loved to see him in this round of 8.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's it. Bisu taps out. Our Protoss god has fallen, and Hero, hey, we said it earlier on. In fact, we said it days before this group even started that Hero is so scary.
Yeah.
Right up there with Sulky, with just, you know, a guy who knows how to win, who knows how to shut you down no matter who you are and what you prepared for. And so he's going to be our second survivor for the round of 16, going into the round of 8. Do not turn the video off, by the way. We are going to have the group selection, and find out what the actual breakdown of the brackets of the round of 8 are going to be. It's going to be happening at the end of this recording, so don't go away. We've got the interview first with Hero, and then we're going to go right into that.
Yeah, the round of 8 draw is super exciting because it really lays out the rest of the tournament. You know, we know so much about these players at this point. We've seen their level, and so we can kind of take a look and see what the likely matches are going to be. Of course, the best of 5 is going to be amazing. A lot of prep going to go into them. And Hero in second place. I mean, finishing out that round of 8, he is going to be a real contender for the title this season.
I think so. Definitely want to watch out. Hero, Jaedong. We got a lot of really strong Zergs, man. It's not just that we have a lot of Zergs. We've got the really, really good ones that have moved on here into the round of 8. Expect some great ZVZs to be inbound in the weeks to come. Now on to that interview with Hero.
16강 D조 경기 모두 함께 하셨습니다. 이번 시즌의 마지막 8강에 합류한 선수는요. 바로 저그 조일장 선수입니다. 지금 바로 함께 하시죠. 축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
D조 시드 선수의 자존심을 지켜내면서 다시 한번 8강에 진출한 조일장 선수입니다. 벌써 ASL 내에서 8번째 8강에 합류하고 있는 조일장 선수인데요. 소감이 어떠신가요?
오늘 1등으로 진출하려고 그랬는데 성균이가 너무 잘하더라고요. 좀 아쉬웠는데 최종전 이겨가지고 그래도 기쁘긴 하네요. 네.
김태경 선수와의 최종전에서 왜 조일장 선수가 토스전을 정말 잘하는지를 좀 잘 보여준 것 같습니다. 첫 번째 세트에서도 뮤탈로 정말 잘 흔들고 두 번째 세트에서도 한 박자 빠른 타이밍에 히드라 병력을 좀 진출시키는 판단을 하셨어요. 이 두 번째 세트 같은 경우에는 좀 어떠셨나요?
일단 저글링이 자꾸 좀 이득을 볼 수 있는 상황에서 좀 말려가지고 좀 실수가 많이 있었는데 뭔가 제가 좀 최적화가 좀 안 좋았어요, 그 판에. 그러다 보니까 가스가 많더라고요. 그래가지고 이걸로 좀 커세어 강요해놓고 좀 히드라로 타이밍 잡으면은 타이밍 있겠구나 생각해가지고 좀 그렇게 했는데 생각대로 잘 됐던 것 같아요.
최우선 선수와의 첫 번째 경기도 그렇고 승자전 박성균 선수와의 첫 번째 세트에서도 그렇고 팩토리를 빨리 보고 히드라 병력을 진출시키거나 전진 배역수를 좀 빠르게 파악하는 상대의 의도를 굉장히 빠르게 파악하는 모습들은 있었거든요. 승자전에서 아무래도 좀 박성균 선수에게 패배했던 게 아쉽게 남으실 것 같아요. 어떤 부분이 좀 아쉬우셨나요?
일단 너무 안전하게 하려고 하다 보니까 상황이 자꾸 안 좋더라고요. 컨트롤도 좀 잘 안 됐고 그런 거 말고는 이제 성균이가 잘했던 것 같아요.
조일장 선수는 최종전에 갔어도 전혀 긴장하는 기색은 보이지 않았던 것 같습니다. 멘탈적으로는 전혀 흔들리거나 하진 않으셨던 것 같아요. 역시 경험인가요?
일단 연습이 좀 괜찮았던 것 같아요. 1경기가 다크 오리진 걸렸는데 뭔가 이길 수 있겠다는 생각이 들더라고요. 그래가지고 좀 마음 편하게 게임했던 게 좀 잘 됐던 것 같아요.
이제 8강에 오른 조일장 선수에게 이 대진의 선택지가 굉장히 여러 가지가 있습니다. 저그 이재동 선수, 테란 정영재 선수, 그리고 프로토스 도재욱 선수가 현재 조일장 선수가 만날 수 있는 선수들인데요. 미소를 만면에 가득 띄고 계십니다. 의미가 뭘까요?
아니요, 뭐 좋아서 그런 건 아니고 사실은 2등으로 진출하는 것도 나쁘진 않겠다라고 생각은 했어요. 근데 너무 위험하잖아요. 그렇게 하기엔. 근데 솔직히 말해서 이번에 제가 만날 사람들이 각조 1등이다 보니까 솔직히 저보다 16강 때 경기력은 훨씬 좋았던 선수들이라고 생각해요. 그래서 누굴 만나도 쉽지 않을 것 같아요.
그럼에도 좀 조일장 선수가 선호하는 종족이 있다면 역시 좀 도재욱 선수 쪽을 원하십니까?
토스가 한 명인가요?
한 명입니다.
저는 뭐 토스 만나고 싶긴 한데 뭐 잘 뽑아주세요.
자, 과연 조일장 선수의 8강 대진은 어떻게 결정될지도 잠시 후에 좀 정해질 텐데요. 팬분들도 조일장 선수의 8강을 너무 기뻐하고 계십니다. 함께 도와준 동료들과 팬분들에게도 한 말씀 전해주시죠.
일단은 이제 연습을 도와준 우리 현재 너무 고맙고 또 테란 중에서는 지성이랑 영진이랑 영재가 정말 많이 도와줬어요. 고맙다고 얘기하고 싶고 제가 좀 요즘에 좀 슬럼프를 좀 많이 겪었었는데 그때마다 또 응원해주신 우리 팬분들 정말 감사드리고 이번 시즌 열심히 해서 보답하도록 하겠습니다.
조일장 선수의 다음 스테이지 8강에서도 멋진 모습 기대하겠습니다. 축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
자, 이렇게 이번 시즌 마지막 8강 진출자 조일장 선수 만나봤습니다.
Okay, guys. Well, there you have it. Those are the results for the round of 16. We are going to set up the bracket for the round of 8. I'm not sure if they're going to make us throw to break or not, Tastosis. I think we might be able to just talk through this, and then Hyungun's going to be ready with the player names inside the little balls that she opens up, so we get to see where everybody's actually at.
So taking a look, this is kind of interesting. Zerg's second place in every group, except for, of course, the first group where it had 3 Zerg players, Jaedong advancing first there. So that means that Jaedong, no matter what, gets a Zerg versus Zerg in the round of 8. And that sounds good for him, to me, Tasteless.
Sure. I think he's definitely a guy who can win in a ZVZ. That also means we can't end up with, like the 2 Terrans eliminating each other. We cannot end up with a PVT. That's not possible. It's going to have to be versus. It's X-Race versus Zerg every game.
Yes, that's right. It's always first versus second place. Of course, you can't play in the first round of 8 the person from your group. So, yeah, that's kind of exciting, really. And I got to say, JYJ and Mind showing really great macro games against Zerg. Best, he did show that one very good game against Sulky, but that's all we saw. Otherwise, everyone else really had to test themselves against Zerg a little bit more.
Yeah, a very unusual lineup here for our Terrans and our Protoss. Not that we wouldn't think these guys would get round of 8, but that they're here and the other players from the races are not.
Yeah. By the way, I got to say, the way JYJ's been playing macro TVZ, if he goes up against Sulky, I think that would be one of the best macro Zerg versus Terrans we've ever seen.
I think you could be right, Artosis. And, with Best getting as far as he has, I mean, he's been playing very well. He did get out of the group of death. But now the question's going to be, can he continue to take on Zergs here? It is also possible the bracket is arranged in such a way that maybe he faces a Terran after beating a Zerg.
Yeah.
But regardless of who you are in this group, this is, in this round of 8, not a group. This is this is an ASL where really you have to be able to beat Zergs. Sometimes being good at one matchup is more important than being good at others. And in this case, it seems like ZVZ, versus Zerg, I can't talk. It's the matchup you have to be able to win in.
That's certainly going to be the case. And who knows how many Zergs will end up going forward. I feel like all the matchups are very tough for Best. So whatever he gets, I'm like, I don't know, man. If we're going to have a Protoss in that round of 4, it would be awesome. But it's going to be tough.
I've got my fingers crossed that we could have Best take the whole thing, but I don't think it's going to be easy. Again, though, we have like the 5 best Zergs we could ever imagine in the round of 8. I mean, this is such a tough set of Zergs moving forward that I think any of these Zerg guys could easily take it.
Yeah, we're really only missing Soma, I guess, out of active Zergs, right? He got upset a little bit earlier on. Thank God it might have been 6 Zergs in this round.
All right.
나의 레벨은 다르다 어나더 레벨 핫식스와 함께하는 ASL 시즌 15.
Okay, so we're going to get ready with the draws here. Remember that same players from a group can't play against each other. And that we're actually not going to have a ton of ZVZs in the round of 8 because all the Zergs that got out in second place, it was 4 Zergs, right? And then with just Jaedong coming out first. So Jaedong's going to have a ZVZ, and then everything else is going to be PVZ or TVZ.
Yeah, it just matters who is playing against who. And honestly, the Zergs that all got second place are all very good macro players. Just to keep in mind, right? So that's I find that interesting. Like Queen is the most aggressive of the second place Zergs. And then everyone else, Action is known for late game. Hero's really great at that, and Sulky is known for late game. So, yeah, I feel like we're going to have very epic matches no matter what.
Okay, to start this off, who's it going to be? Best. All right. He is the protagonist of the ASL. I don't care what race you play. You got to root for the only Protoss, and certainly one of the less likely Protosses to get into this position.
Yeah, he's going to have a tough one here. And Mind is going to go over on that side as well. I got to tell you, if Best is able to win his first match, Mind is like a good round of 4 for him.
Sure.
And over here in match 3, it's going to be Jaedong
Jaedong over there in the top right side of the bracket, and of course that leaves us only with JYJ left over. Again, the guy that we weren't really expecting him to be the guy that gets out of that group the way he did, but he did it.
I tell you what, though, this is the best case scenario for JYJ. He has only Zergs on his side of the bracket. I was saying it before we saw him play. We saw it while he played. His Terran versus Zerg really is amongst the very best we've ever seen.
So who's the Zerg who's going to go up against Best? I get stressed out watching her try to open these balls.
I know. Oh, God. Oh, God. That is a tough draw right there. Oh, wait, no. They were in the same group, so we got to redo that.
False alarm. Now we get to watch her close the ball up and put it back in the fishbowl.
Yeah. I wish she'd put it back in so she could draw it again. We could theoretically be here all night.
Yeah.
All right, who's it going to be? Action. Okay, so, like, you know what? This might be a more doable opponent. Action is really great in the late game, but I think Best peaks PVZ in the mid game. So maybe
I think he's great mid game. Yeah.
Yeah. Like maybe he can get that mass units and kill Action before Defilers. All right, who's going to play mine?
Get it open.
Oh, no.
This stresses me out. She opens it, and then spiders come out.
Of course, they were in the same group, too, man, so we got to redraw that as well. That's so funny.
Okay.
And who is mine going to play?
Oh, God.
Who do you think, Queen?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? There it is.
Queen.
All right.
Mine versus Queen. Okay. I think this is going to be a great match.
Yeah.
I think mine is looking so good. I think he can actually take on Queen. I think the way that he looked today here against Hero, it's like, ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Now, who's the Zerg that Jaedong can beat? I feel like all these guys are so good at ZVZ right now. Uh-oh.
Yeah, they are. Sulky would be the best for him. He gets Hero.
Hero. Okay. Really don't know what to make of that one, to be honest.
It's still doable, I think. You know what? Zerg versus Zerg. Jaedong does historically have the best Zerg versus Zerg of all time. I don't think right this second he does, but... And then Sulky against JYJ. Wow. Well, that's the match that I was actually hoping for, Tasteless. Like, Sulky, like, late game Zerg versus Terran truly is, I would say, the best in the world. And he's going up against JYJ, who is best or second best in the world at late game macro Terran versus Zerg. So that, for me, is the match of this round. I think JYJ Sulky is amazing. Honestly, Best Action and mine Queen are really good, too.
This is such a good lineup. By the way, guys, we're going to get these recordings banged out very quickly. Basically, the day after they're done, we're able to record them, and then the editing's pretty quick, and then we try to spit them back out. We know there was this long downtime between the round of 24 and the round of 16, but we're going to be going into Best versus Action. If you're watching the VOD for that, the next VOD for match 1 of the round of 8 should be just around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And Best versus Action. Look, Action is always getting into the round of 8. He's so scary. I really hope Best can move on. I can handle a Protoss dying in the round of 4, and there's no Protoss in the finals, but we got to get one out of the round of 8, right?
I hope so. But Action, he is just always kind of underrated. I think anyone watching doesn't value him as high as they should. Like, he is legitimately so strong. And if we get into Hive Tech, I don't think Best is going to have any chance against him at all. So Best is going to have to just nail it like he did against Sulky, man. Just nail that mid-game.
This match, Mind vs. Queen, I expect this to be maybe the longest fight we have in the round of 8. Mind seems to... I know he did the double proxy gate against Hero and it backfired, but it almost looks like he's super brainy for doing that because he won in macro games anyways. Mm-hmm. But Mind is able to kind of hold his own in these games. He had very solid pushes. I don't see Queen killing Mind early on, but maybe Queen can try to hang on in the mid game and then come out powerful in the late game.
Yeah, that's. I think that's what he's going to have to do because Queen should have a very sharp early portion of the game. So Mind is going to want to make sure he's as robust as is possible. We'll see if the champion Queen shows up or the more recent Queen, who is more of a round of 8 guy.
Yeah, Queen eager to try to reclaim his status as the Zerg. And, I mean, this is a great tournament for it because we've got all the great Zergs here right now. This matchup, I am nothing but question marks. I don't know what it's going to look like. I know Jaedong is very good at ZVZ, particularly in his control. He might have the very best, but Hero is very smart at planning. I don't know who's favored, though. That one I can't answer. So this is going to be a very interesting deep dive into that matchup. You do not want to miss this. And, of course, Jaedong getting to the round of 4 is so hype, Artosis.
It really is. Like, I would love to see him go all the way. And this is very, very doable. And here's the thing, too. If Sulky beats JYJ, this can turn into a Jaedong victory very quickly this whole season. Like, honestly. Obviously, he's got to get past these Zerg vs. Zerg matches, but, you know, he was the best in the world ever at Zerg vs. Zerg for a time. Can he regain that? It's match 3. He has, like, 2 weeks between playing this and playing that. So that's a lot of time to prep ZVZ.
And the final match, let's not forget Sulky is not great at ZVZ, or at least he has not been. It does seem like this is the season that completely obliterates all the history of other ASLs as far as what matters. But JYJ is looking very strong. If Sulky wins here, Artosis said this earlier, but seems like Jaedong should be a shoo-in to the finals. But then again, maybe JYJ beats Sulky and then beats Jaedong or Hero. I mean, JYJ is looking really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just so hyped for this. And what a strange round of 8, by the way, to start things off. We've never had a round of 8 that's looked quite like this.
No, really.
It's missing so many key figures in a season where we already don't have Flash. Very interesting Terran and Protoss representation, but I think we're going to have a couple more plot twists down the road before we finish this season out, Artosis.
Yeah. We have 5 of the best 6 Zergs in the world in this round of 8, and then like the underdog Terrans and Protoss. So it seems like it's stacked in Zerg's favor, but honestly, when I look at the bracket, this bracket is JYJ's to lose. His Terran versus Zerg is truly the next level, and it has been for a year and a half. Like, he has been just monstrous, and we saw that in his group. I think he can bring it out against Sulky as well. I think he could be a surprise like Royal was last season. Like, he might just run away with this tournament.
And keep in mind that with this many Zergs in the round of 8, it's very different from other ASLs in that normally half the good Zergs are not in it, and they help the other Zergs train and practice. In this case, it's going to be really interesting to see how, if we start to get more Zerg versus Zergs in this, how they pan out and what kind of prep and planning they have.
Yeah. I got to imagine right now Soma's phone is ringing off the hook as everyone's going to want to practice with him for this next round.
Well, listen, guys, that's all the time we have. We'll have the round of 8 out right away. We love you. And again, if you want to support us, it's patreon.com/ASL English. Sign up for a year if you can. We love you so much if you would. Until next time, guys, take care. Bye-bye. Tastosis out.